freedom, man. That's what it's all about. You've got to groove on freedom, like the good book says.
Welcome. You are listening to What on Earth is Happening. This show will discuss the topics of human consciousness, mind control, natural law, the occult, and all issues that affect the freedom of the people of Earth. What on Earth is Happening will endeavor to shine light upon the darkness of our world and to offer empowering solutions to the problems we face as humanity approaches its critical moment of choice. And now, here is your host, Mark Passio.
Welcome one and all, I'm Mark Passio. You're watching What on Earth is Happening. My website, whatonearthishappening.com. Ladies and gentlemen, government is slavery. Always has been, is now, always will be. And if you don't know it yet, you're just dumb, son. You're just dumb. Welcome and thank you for tuning in today. Today is Sunday, January 28th, 2024. This is episode number 280 of What on Earth is Happening, and as always, What on Earth is Happening is a show of cumulative information that should not be watched halfway through or starting from the later episodes. You should go back to the earliest episodes and listen and watch through in order, because this information is a tapestry that exposes critical information that has prerequisite knowledge in the earlier episodes. And you need to build that prerequisite knowledge in yourself so that your worldview can change. For the people that say, no, that's not necessary, you're absolutely incorrect. You don't know what you're talking about. You can keep saying that from now until the end of time, and I'm going to keep telling people you need to hear the information in its entirety or you're not going to understand it. And that's why most people don't understand what I say here on What on Earth is Happening. They don't have the information they need, and they erroneously think that they do because they're egotistical pieces of shit. And that's the whole reason why I have to keep repeating things endlessly, because people don't listen in its entirety and get the main worldview under their belts and get all the prerequisite knowledge and information that they need to understand the world under their belts. Their ego is in the way, and they believe I can just get it all and know exactly what's going on by just listening to things piecemeal. No, you can't. It's not the way it's done. It's not how reality works. Go back to number one and listen in order. Don't start in the middle. Don't start at the end. It's like reading a fucking book from the end page. If you do that, you're a moron. And it's the same with a show like this, and I'm going to keep saying it every week. So I'm fired up today. I'm personally not really happy about any direction that the world is headed. I've been going on Jay Parker's show on Thursday nights. He's been inviting me each week, and I've been, accepting the invitation and just telling people completely how screwed up their worldview is, completely how screwed up their mentation is. They don't know how to think. They buy into notions of religiosity. And today's show and the series that I'm doing in these weeks is no different. It's just another form of a religion. Neo-Feminism is a religion. It's a false religion. As a matter of fact, it's not just a religion. It's a fucking cult. It's a cult. And the people who believe in it are cult members. And to a lesser extent, it affects a very huge portion of even women who do not consider themselves feminists or neo-feminists. And they're still mentally conditioned and programmed and don't want to acknowledge it. Most men are still mentally conditioned and programmed when it comes to the nature of human relationships, especially with the opposite sex. And they don't want to acknowledge it. I talk about later on in this series the MGTOW movement, as it's called, and it stands for men going their own way. And I'm going to talk about how they're just as programmed as the neo-feminists. And it's all there to conduct the gender war, to split humanity into two groups so that they're easily divided and easily conquered. And that's where people are at. We're conditioned bags of shit. We're divided and conquered. There's no sign that that's changing. There's no sign that people are really waking up to anything true that resembles a true awakening. They're undergoing some bullshit false political awakening that is going to be directed by new forms of alternative media that are just the old mainstream media in disguise. And nobody really understands what the occult is or what it does. That they still don't get it, even after all these years of me saying it and explaining it to people. Even the people who watch my work, it's a handful of motherfuckers who actually get it. It's a tiny, tiny portion of people. The rest are just too fucking dumb and too fucking conditioned, and they're never going to get it. They're going to die in ignorance. And that's why what I do here on What on Earth is Happening is I just keep saying the same shit over and over, and I'm just going through the motions, and I'm just doing what I'm appointed and charged to do as a purveyor of the truth. It's still fucking true. It's still going to be true. It's always going to be true. All I'm doing is communicating it. If you don't like it, go fuck yourself. Let's go to my slides. So this is the artwork that Will Keller made for this week's show. Thank you, as always, to Will for the great title cards that he comes up with each week. So today's topic, the unholy feminine, Neo-Feminism, and the Satanic Epi-Eugenics agenda revisited part 2. This is going to be a multi-part series. I don't know how many parts it's going to be. It may end up being 5 or 6 parts. It may end up being 12 parts. It'll take as long as it takes. I will go through the material at the pace that I want to. I will rant when I want to. I will do asides when I want to. And the material will take as long as it takes to get through. We're on a new schedule this season. Well, the same 6-month schedule from January through June. Of course, in the second half of the year, I teach the How to Become the True Media seminar, which we'll talk about briefly. But we're on a new 3-hour format for the live show with my producer in-house with multiple camera angles. Going back to a higher production value show. For the last couple seasons, I was producing myself just in chair at my desk. We're now simulcasting on 10 platforms. What on Earth is Happening, One Great Work Network, Telegram, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, which is now X, Rumble, Odyssey, and DLive. I probably should fix that. Step out of there. I'm going to fix Twitter and switch it back to X. Let's actually just call it X since that's its name. And you can go back. Thank you. So these are the 10 platforms we're now simulcasting the show on, and that's been going great so far. The How to Become the True Media seminar is coming up in July of 2024. And folks, I would highly encourage people, if you do know anything about what I'm talking about, if you do understand the state of our world, if you do understand that the human condition is covert slavery and not really truly improving, if you do understand that slavery is driven by the dynamic of people not understanding objective morality and natural law and not really choosing true morality through their behavior in life, then How to Become the True Media is the way for people to get that message out into the world in a widespread fashion. Not to just talk to your imbecilic family members, not to just talk to your other imbecilic friends, not to just talk to your imbecilic neighbors, but to actually put the message out into the world at large in a wide scale so that people who aren't imbeciles might be able to get it and then start really teaching the material themselves and passing it on, so forth and so on down the line. Then maybe we'll make a dent in the true imbeciles of the world, which admittedly is over 99% of the human population, but If we actually learn how to create media and become content creators ourselves, if we have some knowledge to share, and we then put that out into the world instead of remaining a retarded fucking Luddite, then maybe other people will get it. You know, it only stands to reason. That's how the mainstream media put out their bullshit programming and propaganda and brainwash the minds of the people. The way to take back the minds of the people is to put true media out into the world and teach it in a wide and open format. This isn't rocket science, folks. Nothing that I teach here on What on Earth is Happening is. It's just a bunch of fucking morons who don't understand what I'm saying or are too lazy to actually implement it in their lives. So if you're not a dumb fuck and a dumb Luddite, and you understand how information propagates in the world, maybe you might want to look into how to become the true media, because it will teach you all the skill sets that you need to actually speak out into the world and help to influence people's minds for the better. If you do understand true morality, if you do understand how natural law works to either bring us our freedom or our slavery, the consequences of the behaviors that we choose, and if you want to actually contribute to the great work, this is the seminar that you're going to want to take, because I'm an expert in doing these things. I have a expert background in technology, and the curriculum that I teach is going to teach you not only everything you need to know technologically, but it's going to teach you everything you need to know life skill-wise. This is the other part of the problem. Not only don't people have tech skills, they don't have life skills. They're just like completely impotent as a human being. They just know how to do nothing. They don't know how to work with their internal strengths and characteristics and develop those and utilize those skill sets to do what they actually need to do to end human slavery. So this technology is a total package. It's not just this seminar, I should say, is a total package. It's not just a technology skill sharing seminar. Yes, it is that to a large extent. But again, I teach life skill lessons during this seminar. I teach you the mindset that you need to have to be an effective content creator and to deal with the obstacles that you're going to encounter, to be able to overcome them. So it's a 23-week-long skill set sharing seminar hosted on the Telegram platform. It takes place every Monday evening from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. The other thing I'm going to address and rant a little about, if you don't like the times, fuck yourself. I'm not interested if you can't attend it live. I'm hosting it live for interaction with me. That's the biggest and most important part of the seminar, and only a fucking moron would not see that. I don't care where your time zone is. This is the time that works for me, assholes. I'm going to deliver it when I want to deliver it, and when it is a good time for me to kick back and then actually deliver my class for the evening. And Monday night at 8 p.m. works for me. If it doesn't work for you, don't take the fucking seminar. It's very simple. That's the end of it. I don't want to hear any more about, can you make it this time or this time? It's the time that I pick. I'm the one hosting it. You get your own fucking seminar if you don't want to take mine. I'm just tired of people. I'm done. It's like people show me year in and year out every year. There's no growth. You're still a fucking mental child. You're still an asshole. You're still somebody that can't understand basic language when it's spoken to you, because you hear what you want to hear, or you want whatever you want to be true instead of actually listening to what's being said. And that's going to be a big part of the Unholy Feminine lecture when I get to it, that I want to help people to go into a state of consciousness that is actual present moment awareness, instead of hearing what the fuck you think you want to hear or think you're hearing. Instead of actively being present and shutting your fucking mental chatter up and listening to what's being said like an actual fucking intelligent human being and an adult. You hear what you want to hear. You think what you want to fucking think, instead of fucking actually listening to the material presented. And part of it is, I tell people, this is what works for me. It's live only. I don't want to make it a fucking video seminar. I want it to be live and in person so people can talk to me and ask me questions live. It's not meant to be a video series. If I wanted it to be a video series, it would already be a fucking video series. Do you get it, dumb shit? Do you get it? Do you comprehend the words coming out of my mouth? Shut the fuck up and listen. And maybe you'll learn something. Or maybe you'll remain a dumb fucking jerk off. And if you want to be like that, shut it the fuck off. I don't need your viewership. I'm going to say what the fuck I want. You're not fucking controlling what I say or my show. I'll dictate what happens on it. Get your own fucking show if you want to go listen to somebody else, or you want to listen to fucking diarrhea splatter pour out of somebody's mouth. Go get your own show and do that. So, stop asking me if the recordings are going to be available. No, they're never going to be available. It's always going to be live. It's always going to be a private seminar. The end. That's how I want to do it. If I decide to change it, I'll change it on my fucking time. Stop asking me to do it. It's live every Monday, 8 to 11 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. If you can't attend, you can't attend. Tough shit. If you want to make the fucking effort to attend, then you get up in the fucking middle of the night if you have to. It's called doing whatever's required. And people do it. Plenty of people do it from all over the fucking world. Even if it's an inconvenient time for them, they make the fucking effort and they stand strong in a state of strength and putting their willpower forward, and they do it. If you're too much of a fucking pussy to do that, then don't do it. The end. I don't need your attendance. If you want to learn something and you want to truly affect other people's fucking mind in the world for the better, then build your fucking willpower up, get your ass up to whatever time you have to get it up, and attend. That's how you'll fucking make an impact in the world, losers. I'm just sick of fucking people. I'm sick of them. I can't take their nonsense anymore. I'm out of fucking patience. And I told people I was not going to do this, and I still find myself doing it because I can't hold back my rage because of how fucking dumb and ignoramus people are. It starts July 8th, Monday, July 8th, and it goes to Monday, December 9th. It's a total of 23 class sessions. There is limited space. The seminar may fill up, so I would not wait to enroll. Enrollment opens up on Monday, April 1st, 2024 at midnight Eastern Time. Once again, enrollment opens Monday, April 1st. I want to step out of my slides for a moment. I'm going to go over to my laptop because I want to show people the basic curriculum for the seminar. Just give me a moment to do that, and then I'll let you know when that's up. All right, that's up. You can switch back to the computer. Thank you. So this is the howtobecomethitruemedia.com website. Very simple, one-page website, nothing fancy or complex. I'll blow it up so you could see the text better, okay? So this explains the whole, what the seminar is, and it is a private donation to attend in live time. Again, we don't make recordings available. This is a live, in-person seminar where I host it and teach it and share my screen to the Telegram platform in real time. People can raise their hands and ask questions and interact with me and learn directly from me, the person who is teaching and hosting the seminar. Okay? Because I am an expert in these fields, and I've been doing this for, going on 2 decades. I've had these skills even longer than that, but I've been teaching this material for now 17 years. This is the 17th year of operation of What on Earth is Happening. So the better part of 2 decades. So enrollment opens April 1st of each year. Beginner and intermediate skill sets to be taught in this seminar include the following. This is what I wanted to emphasize. And I'm going to start doing this every week to explain to people what you'll be learning. And these are just the technical skill sets. I should list the non-technical life skill sets that I teach in this seminar that are interspersed with all of the tech lessons. But these are the tech skills that are going to be shared. Basic operating system skills. So if you don't know the basics of using a computer, I'm going to teach you all of those. File systems and disk formatting. So learning how a file system works, learning how to organize your files within the file system, learning how to format disks in different formats to do different things with data. File and folder management, learning what is known as the hierarchical file system. Workflow and best practices, learning that there's many different ways to do the same thing in computing and media, but there are things called best practices that make your life a lot easier if you learn them. Word processing and, basic text publishing. And this is where basically everything begins. Everything that I do in What on Earth is Happening begins with a basic text outline. You put your thoughts down in an outline on paper, or in this case, digital paper through a word processor, so that you can organize your thoughts logically and in sections that break down the topics and make it easier to present and for people to digest. Internet and networking basics, how to set up a home network or LAN, a local area network. Searching the web and dark web, how to use search engines, how to set search engines up within your web browser or add search engines to your web browser. Searching the dark web, which is over 90% of the content that comprises the internet is considered the dark web or the dark net, because all that means is information and content that is not indexed by major search engines. So you would have to go to their page or go to other non-web-based protocols to find that content and to search it. So I teach people dark web searching and dark web finding content on the dark web. Graphic design. This is to make your content aesthetically pleasing and attractive. Print publishing. If you're going to print a flyer, a banner, or a book, anything that gets laid down and output to print, we go over that. Building presentations, how to make presentations like the one I'm giving right now, like the one I'm going to be giving later in the show on the Unholy Feminine. How to make an actual presentation and then deliver it live. We go through equipment that you will need, go through the whole workflow of doing and delivering presentations. Audio and audio editing and publishing. So if you're going to make an audio only podcast, we teach you how to do that. Video editing and publishing. You might want to make a documentary. You might want to make a short film, or just a basic internet video show like this one. We go through all of that with not only video editing software, what's called NLE, nonlinear editing software, but we also do that with live streaming software, such as how the show is being broadcast to you live today. So we cover all of that. Web publishing, how to make your own basic website, how to do some static HTML coding. Not a lot of that, because I want to keep it very simple and basic. We teach basic building simple static web pages with a web page building program. And then we teach dynamically driven websites using a content management system, which is how my website is built. Most modern websites are built. Some basic internet sharing and collaboration if you're going to work in groups, show you how to do that a little bit. And of course, we go over all the hardware and equipment you would need to do things like this. Another thing I hear from morons out there, just what it is? It's the same thing I've always said, and I'm going to reiterate it. I'm going to beat a dead horse, and I'm going to say it, and I'm going to rant, and if it takes long and it cuts into showtime, I don't care. It's got to be said, because people have to know where the majority of people's mindsets are at as complete dullards, dopes, and complete morons, because the amount that people aren't taught by their imbecilic parents and their imbecilic teachers and just everybody around them, their imbecilic family members and friends, they just don't have the ability to open up their fucking ears, shut their fucking mouth, and shut their mind chatter and learn. They don't understand. And people hear me saying, I require equipment to do what I do, and I want that equipment, in some cases, crowdsource funded. And then they think there's something wrong with that, or there's something wrong with me for asking. Fuck you, motherfucker. Come and say there's something wrong with me, or I'm some kind of a fucking grifter, to my fucking face, and watch what happens to all your fucking teeth, motherfucker. You wouldn't say it to my face, because you get knocked the fuck out, is what would happen to you. I've been doing this work selflessly, busting my fucking ass, busting my fucking hump, selflessly doing this work for 17 fucking years when nobody knows your dumb jackass name, punk bitch. You haven't done shit. You put your name into a search engine and there's nothing there because you're a dumb jerk-off who never did a fucking thing in their life, asshole. Don't fucking get on me for saying I require equipment. Look at the fucking equipment I use. Look at the fucking picture I showed you of my studio. You think people come and deliver that to me and say, oh, here, we're not going to take your money on Amazon or at Best Buy or wherever you want equipment. We're just going to come and selflessly bring it to you, Mark, because fucking we know all the great work you're doing in the world. Like, shit doesn't cost money. Like, these cameras don't cost money. Like, this computer doesn't cost money. Like, this mic doesn't cost money. Like, the lighting rigs don't cost money. Like, the computer to stream it on don't cost money. Go fuck yourself, you dumb fucking monkey. You're a dumb fucking primate. And daring to say I shouldn't collect donations. Go fuck yourself. You know nothing about how the fucking world works, dumb jerk off. You know nothing about what anything costs because you've never done anything, because you don't have any fucking life skills, and because you do nothing. You're a dumb jerk off who sits on their ass with their hand inside their fucking ass doing nothing. You've never fucking spoken out into the world. You've never done a fucking thing. And you're an incompetent fucking prick. You're an incompetent and impotent prick. Impotent meaning you have no power in the world. I'm not talking about sexual impotency, but you're probably that too. You have no power in life. You have no internal power. You have no power to help influence other people for the right or the good. And then people want to complain about my fucking anger levels? Also go fuck yourself, you dumb fucking monkey, is what you are. You're a dumb shit monkey. Alright? You don't know why I'm angry. Because of the fucking lack of progress of humanity. After all these fucking years. After me telling the fucking answer to people out in the fucking open. Making their work easier to do. Instead of the hard fucking way I had to learn it. And you want to say I have no right to be angry? Go fuck yourself. Go fuck you and your whole fucking family. Go fuck yourself. For building a fucking dumb motherfucker like yourself with no fucking brains. That wants to complain about people who are doing something and are doing it the right way. I don't need your bullshit. Keep it to your fucking self. Keep it to your fucking self. You don't know me, motherfucker. You don't know who I am. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know where I've been. You don't know what I've seen. And you don't know what the fuck I've done. At all. So shut your fucking mouth when it comes to talking about me. You don't know me. You don't know why I'm angry because you're a dumb shit. You haven't seen what I've seen. You haven't learned what I've learned. You don't know what I know. You're a dumb piece of shit, and you don't know why righteous anger exists. You don't know why I embody it, because of what I've tried to do with very little fucking result because of how brainwashed and fucking ignorant people are. And they're enslaving me, they're enslaving themselves, they're enslaving everybody else because they remain that fucking dumb and retarded. And I'm not supposed to be angry about people continuing the continuation of the state of human slavery? I'm supposed to feel great about that? I'm supposed to feel good about that? I don't want to be doing this fucking show. I know all this shit. I know it inside out, backwards and forwards in my fucking sleep. You think I want to teach remedial fucking math the rest of my fucking life to dumb, retard, dullards? That's what people are. You're dumb, retarded, dullards. You're incapable of being taught. You're unteachable. I'm only doing this because this is my charge by the Creator. This is my charge. This is what I'm charged to do. That's the only reason I'm doing it, because I'm charged to do it and it's the right thing. I don't want to be doing this nonsense. This is hell. This is the repetition of something that can never be improved, which is hell. Because of how dumb and programmed people are. And it all comes down to that same material that I'm going to teach. That's some of the most deeply ingrained programming there is. So folks, for the How to Become the True Media seminar, that's what I teach in addition to life skills. I teach people how to pay attention, how to be present, how to engage their willpower, how to never give up. I'm not giving up. I'm still going to continue to do it. But boy, do I not want to do this. Because of where we're at, because of the unteachable condition humanity is in. Enrollment opens April 1st. It's $523.93. This is the last year I will be able to offer this seminar at this price. It's going to have to be increased a little bit in cost next year. I don't want to do that, but I'm going to have to, because just in general, money doesn't pay for what it used to. With all the inflation going on, I have to, unfortunately, next year, I'm going to have to bump the price of the How to Become the True Media seminar up a little bit. It will still be relatively affordable, as it very much so is now. I tell other content creators how much I offer this seminar for, and they're like, you're out of your fucking mind. I've had people tell me I should charge 10 times the amount that I charge in How to Become the True Media. People go, $523. You should be charging $5,230, not $523. You know, people tell me, I'm serious. Like, other content creators tell me, Mark, you should be charging at least $5,000 for the seminar because it's worth that much. And you should have people who have that much of a desire and will to take it, that they will pay that much. And you'll have people who are absolutely dead balls serious instead of chaff, instead of people who just want to take it as a curiosity and they don't really do anything with it. 90% of the people that take the How to Become the True Media seminar will never become content creators. Over 90%. If we get a couple who become true content creators toward the true one great work each season, I consider that a gigantic win, and that's less than 1% that take the class. You know, I'll take that as a victory, actually, but it's less than 1% every season actually go on to become content creators. That shows me 99% of the people who take this class, it's just a fucking curiosity to them. You know, if it wasn't a curiosity to them, they would engage their will fully and they would bust their ass and do whatever they need to do to get their act in line and actually do the work and become a content creator. And instead, I see 1% instead of at least half. So I could easily bump this to $5,000, lock most people out of it who wouldn't be able to afford it, but the people who would pay the $5,000, they would show up. Trust me, they'd show up. And they'd take it real fucking seriously. And the class is worth that much. It's worth $50,000. Oh, and more. It's worth an infinite amount, because what you will learn here, you're not going to learn and get anywhere else. Not in the way I'm going to show it to you. Not in the way somebody who's an expert like myself and who's done this work is going to show it to you. You can go take endless classes on YouTube, but you're not going to get the fucking kinds of hands-on instruction that I'll deliver. I guarantee it. So it will not go up drastically next year, but it will. It will have to be raised. The private donation rate for this seminar will have to be raised next year. This year, to attend all 23 classes from July to December, is the one low private donation of $523.93. So just under $524. And that will get you attendance to all 23 classes of the seminar. For more information, I have all the caveats and instructions, basically. When enrollment goes live, there will be enroll buttons on the How to Become the True Media webpage. You can click that. It will take you to my gifts area where you could then enroll. I'm going to be accepting the forms of donation are Cash App, GPay, Wise, Zelle, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, Litecoin, Stellar, Monero, Theta, Dash, personal check, and personal money order. U.S. money order. So that's like 15 different donation methods that you can use, something like that. So all kinds of ways that you can donate. Don't ask me if you can donate with a credit card or debit card. No, I'm not a payment processor because I'm not incorporated in any way. I don't have a doing business as. I have no incorporation for What on Earth is Happening and will never have that. So I'm not begging Big Daddy to let me take payment processing. Okay, I do independent private donations. That's how it's going to stay. I will never be able to take credit card or debit card in the history of What on Earth is Happening for as long as I do this. Don't ever ask. Those are the donation methods. They're accepted. They're listed right underneath where it says private donation and the amount. It says accepted donation methods. If you can't do any of those, you can't attend. That's it. Don't ask for special treatment. You're not going to get any special treatment. If you can't attend in live time, don't attend. Don't ask me to do it in non-live time or to record. I'm not recording it. I'm not offering the recordings. It's not a video presentation or seminar. I am going to do that in the future. Let's go back. I'll close this out and come out of it. Okay, I'm going to close that and go back to the slides. And I want to tell people an announcement here. So let's move on, and I'll leave this up while I talk about it. So do please check out the One Great Work Network with phenomenal content creators. We got over 70 content creators. The website is onegreatworknetwork.com. Please donate to them. They need help. They need assistance. They need support. They need equipment. Donate to the content creators on One Great Work Network, not just me. Please keep them funded so they can continue the great work of influencing people and teaching them natural law and objective morality. It's just as important to support them as it is to support me if you're not doing something yourself. So check out One Great Work Network, support the great content creators there. I want to let people know that I've come up with something that will probably make a lot of people happy and appease people who always want to have things in attendance on the internet. I'm probably going to do some large scale presentations similar to my natural law presentation and my Demystifying the Occult series and my Two Masks presentation, large all-day events. But I've decided I'm going to host them entirely online, similarly to how I host the How to Become the True Media seminar. So in the future, probably either maybe even later in 2024 or maybe early next year, I'm going to start doing like all-day presentations on the internet and just having an entrance fee to attend the presentation so that people can just come in and attend it in real time, live, online, just like one of my shows, except there would be, an admittance, amount, a private donation, and then you get added into where the live stream is going to be taking place. So instead of doing a live event similar to how I did Two Masks, which requires a lot of, cost and personal, donation of people's time and energy and effort, and setting up a whole lot of equipment, and then selling tickets online and people having to travel. Instead of that, I'm going to do some online all-day seminars. And maybe I'll do one of these every year. But I have one big one that I'm probably going to announce soon. And I don't have a date set for it or anything like that, but I'm going to think about that. And it's probably going to be some type of a revisitation of the natural law seminar. I kicked around this idea in the past because I felt like not only is this unholy feminine presentation not understood, I still don't think people understand natural law at all. To a large extent, a few content creators out there really, truly, deeply understand it, and the bulk of the population is still largely clueless. And they still think it's something that it's not. I still hear them with all kinds of inaccuracies when they try to present it or describe it. And I feel like I need to go in a deeper way and maybe even do a longer presentation. Maybe it'll be 10 hours. I don't know. But I need to go back and revisit natural law and really go in even deeper than I did in the natural law seminar. So I'm going to probably present something called Natural Law Revealed and Revisited in the near future. Whether that's coming this year or next, I don't know. But it's something that I feel people who even have heard my work need, because they still don't really truly deeply understand natural law to the extent that they need to teach it, to actually be able to teach it. And there's still a whole bunch of ignoramus morons out there that still insist this is part of some kind of religion, when I've been trying to teach people from day one, I'm trying to destroy all religion. I'm trying to destroy religious thought. I'm trying to destroy all cults, all cult techniques I want to expose and destroy. I am not here to teach people a religion. I'm here to teach people the truth and a science of how the universe actually works so that they can work in harmony with it instead of against it. If they work in harmony with it, they prosper, and if they work against it, they suffer. So my contribution in looking at the way to eliminate human suffering and the human condition of slavery is to teach people the very base level causal dynamics, the causal governing dynamics, by interacting with the universe through their free will and their behavior, what they're receiving as consequence when the universe responds to what they are putting out into it, and how that dynamic affects human aggregate freedom or contributes to human aggregate slavery. And people still insist I'm teaching some religious notion or thought. No, I'm not. It's an unrecognized and occulted science, and it is the way that things actually work in nature that has been discovered by many people throughout the ages and throughout human history, and they're never listened to because they're smarter than everybody else, and the other dumb fucking morons out there can't get their ego out of the way and listen to the voice of truth because they're too fucking dumb to understand it. That's the Dunning-Kruger effect. The Dunning-Kruger effect is a bunch of dumb people can't actually hear what really, really, really smart people are saying because they're too fucking dumb. And they can't translate it. It's like a language that they don't understand. They don't have the building blocks because they haven't learned how to think through the trivia method. And their ego's in the way. They're satanically programmed. That's what Neo-Feminism is. It's deep-nested, satanic, psychological programming that once it gets in, it puts its talons into the flesh and it's holding on and it ain't ever relinquishing hold. That's how Satanism does its work, and that's how it's done its work in the minds of the vast, overwhelming majority of all females in our society. Get as fucking offended as you want. Shut the fucking show off right now if you want. Go ahead and shut it the fuck off. I don't give a fuck. I'm still here doing what I'm supposed to be doing. It'll be in the archives on the show. It'll be up there permanently, and I'm still going to say what's true. If you don't like it, once again, go fuck yourself. You're a programmed satanic piece of shit that doesn't know what's going on inside your own fucking mind, let alone the world. Don't Tread on Philly meets for its second Wednesday happy hour, a social meetup for people concerned about loss of freedom on the second Wednesday of every month from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Dive Bar in South Philly. It's always free to attend. Some great meetings and conversations take place there. Some good networking with people from the overall freedom community. If you want more information, visit the website Don't Tread on Philly or search Don't Tread on Philly on Facebook, and you could take a look at the event page there that has all of the meeting dates. Inquire and Inspire documentary movie night takes place the third Thursday of every month from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Always free to attend. It takes place at Arnold's Family Fun Center in the Theater Room in Oaks, Pennsylvania. For more information and details about what movies will be shown, you can visit the website inquireandinspire.com. Always a fun night. The IPFS project for What on Earth is Happening is still ongoing. I'm not going to really delve deep into this right now. I haven't had the time to administrate many nodes. After I put out my videos that I need to put out this year, which is my basic work that I've been working on right now, that's my priority, then I will go back to administrating the nodes and putting some more up. But for information on how you could become a part of the What on Earth is Happening IPFS project, you can visit whatonearthishappening.com/IPFS. We will be taking call-ins, probably not today. I don't know. We'll see how the presentation goes for today. I have so much material to get through, it'll probably take up the bulk or all of the show, but we will be doing all call-in shows via Telegram. You can always join at any time, whatonearthishappening.com/call. You can listen to the show through there, or you could, basically wait to be called on if you do have a question or a comment. The ARC 2.0 offer is still valid and on the table. Please make sure you do not send to an old address, make sure you go and get the form. If you downloaded the ARC instruction form a long time ago, if you got that PDF a long time ago, don't use an old one. Go back up, sign the form again, get the new instructions that has the new send address, the shipping address. The ARC is an offer whereby you send me a storage device, a digital storage device such as a hard drive or a solid state drive, and I fill it up with over 26,000 audio files, over 9,500 books, and over 3,400 digital videos, all collected from my own personal archive of research that I've gathered over the years onto a 2 terabyte storage device. For more information and for shipping instructions, which are rigid and they are formalized to protect your property and to be respectful of my time and schedule. And if you don't like that, I don't care. I don't accept alternative offers for the ARC or ways of shipping it or anything like that. You read the shipping instructions and you basically follow the shipping instructions. It's not following orders, folks. It's following instructions. There's a difference. This is a method of doing something. It's not me commanding an order as an authority. I'm telling you, this is my offer. It's an offer of my time. You either respect it or you don't get the data through me. You can get it however else you want. You're just not going to get it through me if you don't respect my offer, my time, and respect me as a human being for being willing to do this for thousands of people over the years. And if you want to flaunt disrespect in my face, your drive's coming back to you empty. That's what I do, and I've done it. And you know what? I tried not to do it for many, 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 many years and times when people didn't follow instructions. And, you know, I look at it like, oh, okay, they messed this up. I'll give them the data anyway. I'm not doing that anymore. And people out there know you've gotten your drives back blank. And it's been like 3 or 4 this year. And it'll continue to be that many or more if people don't pay the fuck attention. Realize I'm not fucking around. Just do what I ask in the instructions and there won't be a problem. If you're not a fucking imbecilic moron, if you're not fucking retarded, you can read language, interpret what's being said correctly, because I'm abundantly clear in the document for shipping on how to ship this to me, and just do what I ask. And there won't be a problem. If you do things that I tell you not to do, I'm definitely sending you back a blank hard drive or solid state drive. And I don't give a fuck how much of an asshole you think I am or how much of a hard ass you think I am for doing it. And I've done it, and I'll continue to do it. And that's okay. You waste your time and fucking money, and you maybe have wasted a little bit of my fucking time, but you're not going to get any niceness from me when you treat me with disrespect and like an asshole. Go fuck yourself. You either comply with the shipping directions or you don't get the ARC data. Thousands of people have no problem with what I've asked because it's reasonable. There's a reason. I give all the reasons. You know why not to do this? Because then this happens. Do you know why not to do this thing when you ship this drive? Because then this happens. You know? I mean, I've had fucking drives because people like a jerk off tape up the box with duct tape, right? With duct tape that you would put on fucking, you know, air conditioning and heating ducts. And the fucking shipping companies think it's a bomb. So they're not going to fucking take a duct tape box. And I've told people, just pack it with packing tape. There's no reason to go into your shed or into your fucking tool drawer and pull out duct tape. No reason. That's not how you tape up a fucking box in 2024. You tape up a box with fucking packing tape, with clear packing tape. Because obviously fucking morons that think, you know, bombs being sent through the mail is a thing aren't going to take the fucking box if it's all taped up with duct tape. They think there's something dangerous in it. So I told people don't do it, and I've still gotten fucking boxes taped up with duct tape when I've specifically told them in the directions, don't ever use any duct tape on the box. So think about this, folks. How much of a moron does somebody have to be to read the words, do not ever use duct tape on your shipping box, and then duct tape up the box and send it to me? How does someone like that end up listening to What on Earth is Happening? That's my issue. I can't believe that a fucking dullard moron like that ever encounters my material, let alone requests the Ark. You think a fucking moron imbecile like that is going to do anything with the Ark data? You think they're going to actually learn something and transform the world into something better than it is when they can't even read words on a fucking piece of paper and not duct tape up a fucking box? This is who we're dealing with in the world, people. This is what I'm trying to explain to you about where we're at. People who have no fucking ability to even read, no ability to interpret reality, no ability to fucking even follow simple instructions. You think you're going to change the fucking world for good? You're delusional. And these people are all around us. They're everywhere. The whole fucking world is chock fucking full of them to the rafters. And we think we're going to win? You think our side's going to win with fucking morons out there like that? We're getting our asses beat senseless by the fucking Satanists. Getting our ass beat senseless by the globalists, by the social engineers of this world. And we think we're going to win? We think we are winning? You're delusional. Delusional. And you need to get your head out from up your ass and learn what's really happening. This is what I'm saying. People have such a fucking false impression of reality because of their programming, because of what they want to believe is true. And then people say, it's just from where you're at, Mark. No, it isn't, moron. It's everywhere. It's all over the fucking world. It's everywhere. It's an infection in the body of humanity. If you want hard copies of any of my work, they're all available at gifts.whatonearthishappening.com. DVDs, flash drives, the One Great Work Passio collection, which has all my work on a single solid-state drive, my natural law documentary, men and women's t-shirts, buttons, stickers, coasters, keychains, etc. And technology donations, which I want to briefly cover. And this is what I was talking about with the idiots who think I should just out of pocket pay for every single thing that I've ever acquired tech-wise, right? And that no one should help. Again, you could take your opinion, you could turn it sideways and can shove it straight up your fucking asshole for all I care, because you're a dullard fucking moron who knows nothing about what things cost, how things work, and how much it costs to do a production like this, because you're a lazy bag of fucking dog shit that's never done a fucking thing in your worthless, miserable life, loser. And like I said, come find me in person and say it to me. Now, before I do that, let's step out of the slides because I'm going to go to the GIFs website. Okay, you could switch back in. Thank you. All right, so this is What on Earth is Happening donation gifts. You get there by clicking gifts in the menu of my main website, whatonearthishappening.com. If you click categories, either here or you go to the listing of categories here, here's technology donations. When you click that, it will show you the tech item that I'm looking to be able to purchase and that I'm going to crowdsource fund, which is a moral way of funding something. It's asking many people to contribute smaller amounts of money so one person doesn't bear the burden of getting this item, either myself or any one individual. As a matter of fact, it's about the most moral way that you can go about it. It's a voluntary donation, and it's crowdsourced. If you don't understand that, you're just a dumb bag of shit. You're just dumb, son. You're just dumb. As Fred Sanford would tell you back in the 70s and 80s, you're just a dumb bag of shit. Okay? So, you click into donation toward a Mac Studio for Mark Passio. There's the item, and you can make a donation in $50 increments. This is the description. Mark Passio needs a Mac Studio for his own creative and office computer. The computer here is my streaming computer. That we have a Mac Studio for One Great Work Network. We have a Mac Studio for What on Earth is Happening. Now, I need a Mac Studio for my personal, creative, and office computer because I work in my office, not in my TV studio, okay? So could I potentially do it on this machine? Yes, but this is my producer's desk, and this is in my basement of my house is where I'm at right now. Okay, converted it to a studio. I have an office room set up with other computers of my land and where my other helpers who come by during the week sit, and I do work there. That's my concentrative area where I sit and I actually do creative work. I do video editing. I do presentation creation. I make outlines for new presentations. I fulfill orders. We make new content as far as making DVDs and flash drives, etc. And other operations go on there as well, like archiving data, coming up with new projects, communicating with people, collaborating. It's the brain center of what on earth is happening. So I have an aging Intel iMac on my desk up there. And I want a modern Apple Silicon Mac now because it's about time to start switching over. The transition to Apple Silicon has already been completed, and I don't want to get left behind with an ancient Intel Mac that's aging and beginning now to show signs of slowing down. So it's still a fairly decent machine, but I think I should retire that machine, use it for another purpose, and put something that's running on Apple Silicon processors in its place. So this is the computer that I'm looking to get. You can make a donation of either increments of $50, starting at $50 and going up to $500, whatever you feel you want to contribute. And again, we've raised so far $600 out of $6,000. So we're only 1/10 of the way to the amount needed. And for people who say a Mac Studio only costs $2,000, no, I'm configuring it a different way. I'm not using the base configuration. I want this machine to last me many years into the future, as many as I can get out of it. So when you click on a Mac Studio to buy one, you will see on Apple's website there are many configurations that you can do. I'm going to pick this base configuration with the Apple Silicon M3 Ultra chip, and I'm probably not going to spec it with a 76-core GPU. I'll leave the 60, but I'm probably going to bump the memory to the maximum, and I'm going to double the storage. And you could see there the total price is $5,999. Then there'll be tax added to that, but I'm just looking to get the 6 in crowdsourced funds so that I could pick this up probably sometime toward the middle of the year. All right, so that's the technology donations area of What on Earth is Happening donation gifts. I'll go back to my slides. And the last one in the pre-show notes or housekeeping announcements, however you want to call it, is the straight donation. So if you want to make a straight donation to the What on Earth is Happening and One Great Work Network causes, you can visit whatonearthishappening.com/donate. And there you will see many donation methods listed. Cash App, GPay, Wise, Zelle, Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, Ethereum, Dash, personal check, personal money order, or our Amazon's wish list of smaller tech items that are required to run the day-to-day operations here. So thank you to the kind gentleman who picked up the tech wish list items this week. I actually received them today. It's a wonderful, generous donation. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. One individual actually picked up the 4 items that were up there for me this week, and they arrived today in great condition. So thank you so much. And that's how things work, folks. That's how people very literally put their money where their mouth is. If you want to see an operation like this continue and do good work into the future, it has to be funded. You know, you can't run on no fuel. And unfortunately, money still buys things in the world. We're not a cooperative, enlightened society that doesn't need to use money anymore. Unfortunately. Do I want to see humanity evolve to that point? Sure I do. But we're not there yet. So unfortunately, I would still require resources to obtain technology items that I have to employ for this operation. If you just think it through logically and you're not a jackass dullard, you would realize in order to do more, you require some tech items to do that. And if I'm going to have a network here, if I'm going to have data archiving done here, massive amounts of research that I pour through, study, and then come up with presentations so that it doesn't take people the amount of time and energy that it takes me to learn, that I can condense it for them, put it in an easily digestible format, and they can learn maybe 10 times faster. You know, and if I was freed up with some tech help here, I could probably put 10 times more information out into the world in the form of custom-made presentations. I have to still do all the tech setup, you know. I swapped out an Ethernet networking switch today. I don't just hand that to somebody and go, here, go install the switch. I do it myself. I don't have tech help like that here. I don't have anybody that knows how to do it. I don't know anybody that knows how to do it. Certainly not in this area, not in this unenlightened area of the world, you know. I consider I'm like a Renaissance being. I am a Renaissance man with the skill sets that I have and what I know how to do and what I know is going on and how I know how that operates at the psychological level and what I know how to do in the tech that I know how to do in the life skill lessons that I know. I'm a Renaissance man. And that's the problem, is so other few people are. They're just weaklings. I'm a strong Renaissance man who is tormented by other people's weakness. Me getting angry is not my own weakness. That's legitimate, righteous anger for being surrounded by fucking weaklings. Don't you get it, moron? That's not a weakness on my part. That's me correctly interpreting the situation and displaying the correct emotional reaction, you fucking lazy bag of shit. If I had some actual tech assistance here and didn't have to do every technical task myself, maybe I could sit down and make even more presentations. And again, the rate at which I move through whatever I'm going to move through, I'm doing it my own pace. I don't want to be fucking rushed. I'll say whatever the fuck I want. I'll rant as long as I want. If you don't like it, there's a fucking close button on your computer window or swipe it off on your fucking phone and don't listen and remain the jackass that you are. I don't care. I care about what's true. I care about what's right. I'm going to say what's going on in the world. I'm going to tell people where their weaknesses and shortcomings are. I'll be a petty tyrant in that regard, which means I'm trying to point out other people's weaknesses so they can improve. You don't tell people that are training for some event that they're doing great when they're doing shitty. And you guys are doing shitty. The vast bulk of you, you're doing unimaginably shitty work. Your work is garbage. You haven't learned the real things that need to be taught, and you're not teaching them. You dance around the issue. You think some fucking, new system or way of growing food or new cryptocurrency or new tech, that's the fucking answer. When the answer is you got to change how you fucking think. You got to change what you believe is really true versus what you're clinging on to that's false. You got to learn true morality instead of bullshit religious notions of morality. You got to purge Satanism from your mind and heart. And that's what this presentation that's going to be going on for the next many weeks is all about. It's about Satanism in the minds and hearts of a vast majority of the people. So let's jump into where we left off last week. We left off explaining polarization dialectics. And in the slide, I call it, back in this presentation when I delivered it in 2016, I called it simply dialectic manipulation. I now have refined the term that I call this. I call it polarization dialectics because it polarizes the people into two or more camps of mentality, and it gets them warring with each other. And one of the most important dynamics to understand about dialectics, specifically the Hegelian dialectic, which is what Satanism uses, what modern politics uses, what especially communism uses, what communism was based on, dialectic materialism. Marx based his form of dialectic materialism that he formulated his socialist/communist views with, was based upon the work of George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel, the creator of the Hegelian dialectic, what I refer to as the polarization dialectic. A dialectic means a false choice between two or more competing choices that someone is presented with and asked to choose between, when neither of the answers, neither of the choices will ever get that person to their actual desired result. It's a false series of choices to lead them down the garden path, to lead them on the place that's going to take them to the slaughterhouse instead of where they actually say that they want to go. And the part of the dialectic that I was explaining at the end of last week's show when time ran out is that only one side of the manipulation aspect of the dialectic, when they're polarizing people into camps, needs to truly remain in a state of mind control and suggestibility for the dialectic overall to become successful. Let me explain what I mean by this, okay? If someone is playing a prank on two school children and trying to get one to attack the other, and they go behind the head of child A and smack them in the back of the head, and then they point to, like this, the child B. And child A now thinks child B did it and goes and attacks child B. Child B, who did not do anything, does not have to be manipulated by the manipulator in order for conflict now to arise between two other parties. Child A doesn't know I smacked him in the back of the head and then went like that, indicating that child B did it. Child B doesn't know that I smacked them in the back of the head or even know why child A is coming and attacking child B. You see, it's ignorance on both parts in a dialectic. But the manipulation of the dialectic, me smacking child A in the back of the head and then pointing to child B, gets them on the hook. And now it gets them taking action that is immoral, unnecessary, erroneous, ill-conceived. And they're starting a new conflict now because of my chaos magic. That's what polarization dialectics are. That's chaos magic in the occult world. Okay? And that's what Neo-Feminism is. Neo-Feminism is smacking women in the back of the head and the social engineer going like this. It's all guys that just did that, and now there's a gender war. And if you don't get it, you're just fucking dumb. I've explained it as simply as it can be explained. World War II was a dialectical manipulation in many respects, a manipulated war where the dogs of the Nazis, who were originally leashed by the globalists, got off the leash. And now we're going to become a military power that's going to take over the world. And you can say however much you want to say, yes, that's manipulated by the occult. I talked about that in Two Masks. Of course, occult manipulators were behind the Nazis as they were behind the communists. I just watched a really awesome presentation by a gentleman named Robert Sepper, and he went into the dark origins of communism, and it paralleled much of what I talked about last year in Two Masks. Brilliant presentation. Many of the same figures were discussed, many of the same groups like the League of the Just, and I went very deep into the occult underpinnings of both Nazism and communism. Video will be coming later this year to donation gifts and eventually out for free later in the year. But my point of this section is that only one side needs to buy into the manipulation for the dialectic to be successful. So in this case, in the gender war, it's largely being directed toward women, and then they're attacking men, then men are reacting to that attack. So listen, if you manipulated a country into becoming an aggressive, warlike power all throughout Europe, are the other countries of Europe and the rest of the world watching the whole warfare take place and escalate and come into new regions of the world? Is the correct reaction supposed to be, you know what? we know the Nazis were manipulated by the Satanists and the globalists and, the social engineers. So we should just sit back and just realize they're being manipulated. And while they're running roughshod all over Europe and they're bombing the shit out of all the countries of Europe, raping the wealth of Europe, enslaving much of its population, and laying the whole countryside to waste, we should just kick back, watch everything happen, watch what they're doing, implement a policy of appeasement even, and say, we're not going to do anything to stop you because we know you've been manipulated. You're unfortunately the manipulators who have turned into the abuser, and now we have to just say, poor Germans, you got played, you bought into the Volkish theories, you bought into all the false theories of human evolution, you bought into the occult, and how that's going to be some kind of a manifest destiny for your people, the chosen one, the chosen race, the Herrenvolk, the master race. And somehow we should just sit back and say, these guys were just highly manipulated. The globalists really did a number on them inside their own country, and we should just let them keep doing what they're doing. Eventually, they'll take over the whole world and enslave everybody, but, because they were manipulated, we can't get involved. You're a jerk-off, jackass, moronic prick, know-nothing. Do you get how dumb you are? Do you get how dumb that sounds when you hear it? Your problem is, the people who think that way, your moronic jackass problem is, you've never recorded your voice while you're spewing your bullshit and listened back. And by the way, I want to say this. I'm going to belabor things. I'm going to take long asides. I'm going to kick back, enjoy delivering this presentation, and say whatever the fuck I want during the whole course of it. Okay? And here's one thing I'm going to say. I just watched back my presentation for the Greater Reset 5 that was played via video in Morelia, Mexico. And I always think this, folks. I always think, while I'm even delivering the presentation, I think, did that come across well? Was that well done? Was that well researched and presented? And I go, I don't know, but that's my best effort right now. I'm gonna lay it down. I'm gonna deliver it. I'm gonna send it to whoever's going to use it or put it out online, and we'll see what happens. And I actually went back and listened to this presentation, and I'm like, holy shit. It was not entirely off the cuff, but it wasn't super rehearsed, and it was put together in a relatively short period of time because I was mostly focused last year on 2 masks. And when I was asked to do this, I'm like, I know I'm going to have a short amount of time to actually research and put this presentation together and deliver something really good. But listening back to it, I'm like, wow, that was powerful. And I just can't believe nobody is saying these things. I'm one of the only people saying these solutions out into the world. And I listened back, and my own mind was blown by my own presentation. And I'm like, nobody does it to that level. Not quite like that. There are some people who are really good presenters, but I mean, I hit a grand slam every appearance at the plate in that presentation. And I said exactly what needs to be communicated to the freedom community, and damn, was it powerful. And that will be coming also later this year. And I just got to say, that's what people don't do, right? They don't speak their thoughts and record them. People who are addicted to completely erroneous ways of thinking and don't really have a lot of mental acumen, what you should do is you should turn a video camera onto yourself or just point your phone at yourself and speak aloud your thoughts. Don't type them. Don't type them out. That's what you want to do. You want to go on the forums, you want to go on the chat rooms, and you want to type like a jackass. And it's just, what it is a verbal diarrhea hose. That's what it is. That's all you do. Your fingers are just like a gaping asshole splattering diarrhea all over everybody else. That's all they are. Okay? And that's why you love chat rooms. You're an anonymous coward. You're a loser, little fucking incompetent prick. You're a little impotent prick. And all you want to do is splat diarrhea out with your fucking loser fingers. What you should do, I'll give you a piece of advice even though you don't deserve it, is you should turn a camera onto your own loser face and you should start speaking your ideas and recording them and then playing back to themselves so you could hear what a fucking loser you sound like when you speak. You could hear how dumb you sound when you speak. I back up everything that I'm saying with data and research, and when you understand it, when you listen and you understand, it makes perfect sense, and a light bulb should be going off in your fucking mind, and you should be realizing, wow, I really am fucking manipulated. I really am under a program. I really am under mind control. Folks, I did my shadow work. I'm out of the fucking mind control. I am angry because I am tormented by how many people have never done any fucking shadow work and come out of their fucking programming. Don't you get it? That's why I'm viciously angry toward people. You haven't done your work. You're a lazy bag of shit that wants to sit and watch and not do any work on your fucking lazy ass self. And you're pouring a burden onto other people's shoulders. The more you don't do your own work, the more burdensome the work becomes for people like me. And I don't want your fucking work. I want you to lift your own fucking weight so I can lift mine. I don't want your weight on my shoulders. I don't want your weight in my hands. I don't want your weight on my fucking back. Keep it to your fucking self and do your own fucking work. Learn the truth for your fucking self. Be a grown-up. Be an adult. Do your own fucking shadow work. Don't tell me about mine. I've done mine. I'm angry because you're not doing yours. And no, it isn't okay for me to just be silent, not get angry, not say a fucking thing. My job is to say when you're not doing your work. My job is to say when you're weak because your weakness weakens everybody else. Because we're unfortunately, very unfortunately, all tied together in this fucking mess. And you haven't learned that lesson yet. That your ignorance is my enslavement. Other people's ignorance is your enslavement. You haven't learned that yet because you're too fucking dumb and self-centered and egotistical and lazy. So when you say, man, the Nazis, man, was just all manipulated that war. Why did the U.S. get involved? Because we didn't want to let a manipulated group of fucktards take over the world, moron. Nor should the rest of Europe have just let that happen. When one side of a manipulation buys into the full extent of the manipulation and then goes haywire on everybody else, the other people shouldn't just look at it and go, oh, woe is them, they're so fucking manipulated. We should do nothing because these guys bought into a bag of lies and now they're just manipulated fucking wind-up toy soldiers and we should just let them run roughshod all over everybody. Turn the camera on your own loser-ass face and point it at yourself, record yourself saying that, and legitimately go back and listen to yourself and hear how fucking dumb and ignorant you sound, you jackass. It's the same thing when it comes to the gender war. When women have been whipped up into a frenzy of programming, should men just go, oh, we know they're manipulated, so let's have absolutely nothing to do with them, or let's just say that their nature is the devil? No, moron. You should try to undo the manipulation. You should try to fucking reduce the programming, the fucking viruses that are running in the mind, jerk off. But you don't know how they work because you don't know Satanism and social engineering. You're just spewing verbal diarrhea out your fucking ass mouth. People are just so fucking dumb. It's painful. It's increasingly painful to me how dumb people are. It's the same thing with the police in our cities. Oh, we should just let the police do whatever they want. There should never be any pushback. Because, oh, the police are mind controlled. They're a manipulated cult. That doesn't mean I'm going to let them take my fucking rights. That doesn't mean I'm just going to let them take my freedom without a fucking battle, and a physical one if it comes to it. You got to realize once a fucking cult member is fully bought into the cult mind control programming, they're going to become a physically dangerous asset in the world for the globalists. This is what they want, dumbasses. We can't just kick back and say, oh, you're just programmed. The first step is, yes, to try to deprogram them. Barring that working, which it may not, you gotta fight. And you might have to fight physically and die, maybe. Maybe you might have to fight physically unto the death. And then so be it. Then that's how it'll be. You can't just make excuses for evil. This was part of my presentation called Why We're Losing at Greater Reset 5. You don't just say, oh, these evil people are just manipulated, so I forgive them. Fuck that. That's not real forgiveness. That's you laying down to tyranny like a fucking coward. Fuck that level of pacifism. That'll never be me, and it shouldn't be you either, because it's a big bag of bullshit, and it's not spirituality. So, get the point. Only one side needs to buy into the manipulation in order for the divide and conquer strategy of dialectic manipulation to be successful. If you don't understand that, you don't understand the Hegelian dialectic. Why do they target the gender divide? Because there's no bigger dialectical divide than men versus women. It is the only division, since it is the only division in humanity that is split exactly 50-50 when it comes to biological gender or sex. The social engineers have specifically focused their efforts on cultivating this gender war because through it they can create maximum societal tension, instability, and ultimately chaos. They know what they're doing. They know how to do what they're doing. They're very skilled at it. They're not amateurs. They've had practice. They've been doing it for thousands of years. Not 10 years, not a decade, not a handful of years, not a century, not a millennia, tens of thousands of years. They've been manipulating the thoughts and opinions and molding the mindset and worldview of both men and women. And specifically, they love to target women because they feel that not only perhaps they have a better grip and control of the feminine or female worldview, but they know that once they manipulate the woman, they have the family dynamic, the familial dynamic. I don't even want to call it the family dynamic because it does not have to consist of a nuclear family. They have the familial dynamic, which is, it's like the difference between biological sex and how you want to look at the blend of masculine and feminine energy within a single being. The same thing is true when it comes to the familial dynamic. It is not about the actual physical nuclear family. It is about how men and women relate to each other within a society. That is the familial dynamic, which is the core of unity between all of human society. Once you break down the familial dynamic, look at that as mental gender, right? It's a form of cooperation between biological men and biological women in society. That has a lot of different factors, dynamics, and characteristics associated with it. Once you break that down, it's a piece of cake to rule over people because the women are largely going to direct that dynamic in society. It's a well-known fact in all of human history that once you have the minds of women, the men and the children follow, because women are going to be the cornerstone of that familial dynamic, especially when it comes to an actual family unit. That's not just the familial cooperative dynamic between men and women, between the sexes, but is going to be the cohesive glue that holds an actual family unit together, which is where societal strength can also come from. It's another source, but it's not the only. Let me be clear about that. The nuclear family, as we're going to talk about, is not the only source of the familial dynamic and familial strength. Okay? It is actually about cohesiveness and cooperation between the sexes, the biological sexes. So let's move on. In this particular presentation, you are going to hear specific solutions. People also erroneously claim Passio doesn't offer any solutions. It's because your dumb ass, your loser mind hasn't listened. You hear what you want to hear. You think what you want to think. You hear little bits and pieces and dribs and drabs, and you think you've heard all of my material, and you haven't even heard one small, tiny, little bit of it. And then you make up your mind according to your own degenerate thoughts, because you don't know how to think, that I haven't proposed any solutions, when the entire body of my work is the solution. But you're too dumb and lazy to actually listen to it all because you think you know everything you need to know, and you're a dumb fucking jackass who doesn't know anything. Who's the epitome of the Dunning-Kruger effect. Of a moron who thinks they're really smart and looks at a really smart person and thinks they don't know what they're talking about. You're the epitome of the Dunning-Kruger effect. I'm a fucking genius and you're a moron and you have it backwards because you're so dumb. This presentation is ultimately completely solution-oriented, and it is not presented to incite a further divide between men and women. It is presented to promote awareness of the manipulation tactics that are being employed and deployed against both genders, not just women, but against men as well, which we will get to later. The final part of this presentation will focus entirely upon solutions that we can implement to heal the divide between the genders and promote unified relationships. See, this is part of people hear what they want to hear. They don't have the discipline of mind, of actual mental thought discipline and present moment awareness to actually hear what is really being said in reality. Instead, they run it through a mental filter that is often a psychological barrier and block that is instilled by the social engineers and the dark occult ruling class. And then it comes into their mindset as them hearing something completely different than what was said. And here's what I want to do moving forward. I should have done this at the very beginning today, but let's do it now. One of the biggest aspects of truly being able to learn and not being a mental dullard and a fucking egotistical moron that can't really truly learn is you have to learn how to quiet the mind. This is why I taught so much about genuine spirituality in the early days of What on Earth is Happening. This is why I spent so much time going over consciousness and what it is and the aspects of consciousness and the characteristics of consciousness and how you can come to know yourself better through shadow work and attempting to learn certain techniques that can help you truly be present. That's why meditation comes in so powerfully handy. It is a powerful tool that if you know how to do it, and most people don't, you will learn how to truly learn. You will open up the aspect of your mind that allows true learning to take place. True learning takes place when the mind has been emptied of competing thoughts. I want to repeat that again. True learning really takes place when the mind has been alleviated of competing thoughts. That doesn't mean don't have any kind of a filter or mechanism to weed out bullshit. What it means is most people have chatter going on all the time. You need to be able to silence that chatter in the mind through meditative work. And I do very little meditation anymore. And here's why. I learned it so well, and I can employ immediately the turning off of thoughts. I can stop thought in my mind whenever I want to. That's the discipline that I learned through practicing meditation so much in my earlier years when I was waking up. Most people never learned it a second. So while they're taking in new information, all their mind is doing is chattering about nonsense and trying to find all kinds of little loopholes and technicalities and pay attention to trivialities, and they're not really present. That's why they don't learn well. That's why they don't integrate the lesson. That's why if you told them an hour after, could you please give me the gist of what I said earlier? every part of what they repeat back would be wrong. They can't retain any of it. I see this in certain people take place in minutes or seconds sometimes, where you just gave them the information that they need, and it's immediately out of their mind. You spoke it not only a minute ago, and they still can't remember and integrate it. And it's not a memory problem. It's a problem of the mind chattering away endlessly while they should be fully present and fully paying attention. We have to go back at some point and revisit yet again the topic of present moment awareness, because it really is one of the most important factors in how to learn. And this is not taught in school. This is not taught in the modern education system. Parents certainly don't teach it to their ignoramus children, because they're ignoramus parents who can't teach their children a fucking thing because they don't know a fucking thing. You have to get the mind quiet in order for learning to take place. Learning doesn't take place in a cluttered mind. Just like, unless you want your house to be clean, you don't keep cluttering it up with fucking dirt and bullshit and soil and fucking empty bags of fucking food and crumbs and everything. You don't splatter detritus all over the room when you say you want it to be clean. Well, the same thing has to be true when it comes to how do you discipline the mind. If you want a clean room, you got to go and clean up the fucking detritus. You got to break out the vacuum cleaner. You got to pick up all the shit off the floor. You got to clean the fucking surfaces, and you got to not add more fucking shit into the fucking air and surfaces of the room and on the floor. That's how the room gets clean and stays clean. It's the same with the mind. Sanity and true present moment awareness are forms of cleanliness of the mind. It's basic mental health, folks. Again, this isn't rocket science. This is learning basic good functionality or good health versus bad functionality or dynamics that have completely broken down mental health. That's what it is. And most people have never learned this. That's why they can't learn. They can't learn because the tools of learning were never imparted to them. And the occultists want it like that. Don't you get it? They want you dumb. They want you chattering away in the fucking mind. They want you clacking away with your verbal diarrhea on the keyboard while wisdom is trying to be imparted to you, because when all that chatter is in the fucking mind and all you're doing is trying to lay out your own verbal diarrhea, you're not listening. You're not paying attention. You're not learning. You're not growing. You're not getting the information you need, and you still, in your own bullshit ignorance, think you have it all. Think you know what you need to know when you don't know a fucking bit of it. You gotta force your mind into silent submission. You have to force it into silence to learn. When I'm trying to learn from somebody, when I was listening to Robert Sepper's interview, am I reading another book simultaneously? Am I playing with my fucking phone? Am I sitting back thinking about other dynamics in my life? Oh, well, I got to think about this situation right now. And I got bills over here that have to be paid. And I got a show coming. No, I'm not doing any of that. I'm present. I'm becoming the act of learning. I'm becoming the act of watching that information and taking it in so I can garner something useful from it. This is how I've studied all of the information I've studied, which is why I understand it. That's part of the trivium, the second process. Do you actually understand what you've heard? Do you understand what you've taken in? Or are you still a fucking mental dullard that doesn't understand what's been said and you can't even recognize it as words of wisdom because you're just so fucking dumb and you got all this mental chatter just gumming up the fucking works up there? You gotta learn how to be fully present. You gotta learn how to fully pay attention. These are the forms of present moment awareness that are the spiritual currencies. Time and attention. You gotta say, all of my time now is going to be spent here and now. I'm not somewhere else, and I'm not some time else. I'm here. I'm now. I'm fully present. I'm fully paying attention. That's when you put yourself in the place with the maximum potential for true learning. And most people don't know how to do it because they've never learned how to beat their own mental chatter into silent submission. The mind can be one's worst enemy when it comes to truly learning something. And what you have to do is stop the thought process. You have to stop the mental chatter. You don't have to accept what is being said to you. It doesn't mean that. It means you could go back and refine it. You can go put it through mental transforms and logical transforms and try to weed out logical inconsistencies. That's fine and should be done. I'm not asking anyone just to blindly accept what's being said. You don't do that in the moment when you're taking the information in. Otherwise, you destroy the trivium process at its base, which is grammar. You're not getting the grammar. This is what people don't get. They totally mistake what the trivium process is. They take it out of order. They misinterpret it. They don't actually do the steps. The first step is, in order to get the grammar, you got to shut your own fucking mental chatter up and actually take the grammar in. Or you're not going to be able to do the second step, which is understanding it. It's just so simple to me. It's like literally like putting a fucking spoon in your mouth to eat something, you know? It's like taking the fucking soup off the spoon with your mouth. That's how simple it is to me. To other people, it's so fucking complicated. They're like, is this a spoon? Oh, wait a minute, maybe I throw it. Did I get the stuff? Did it go in? This is how retarded people are. That they can't even recognize what a spoon is, let alone how to use it. It's the same with the trivium process of truth discovery. They know no part of how to do it. They have no mental discipline. And that's why they're not learning, folks. That's why they have learning disability. So many people, the biggest part of this whole thing in not being able to communicate this knowledge is people's learning disabilities. They're poor learners. It's the very first part of the natural law seminar. I'm talking about teachability. And when it comes to this material, hardly anyone is teachable. There's no teachability because the mind and the ego are in the way. They're in the way of learning a true, moral, and powerful psychological lesson that can help heal society instead of further divide it. And believe me, it's being divided at such a rapid rate. And the things that I have heard, I mean, I am going to tell you some of the things that I have heard women say to me in public, in society, in public places, only last year and into this year. And it is so tragically abominable what they've been led to believe, how distorted their thinking has become. And what they actually believe in their cult belief system, especially in the modern day communist leftist circles and neo-feminist satanic circles. And neo-feminism and Satanism, they're rolling buddies. They are married. Satanism and neo-feminism are a married couple. Okay? They are together and as loyal gets, and they're bonded. And this is what women don't understand. Modern day women do not understand how part of the agenda of Satanism and globalism the modern neo-feminist agenda really is. It is rooted ideologically in Satanism and communism. And especially Satanism, which is the origin of communism. As I would go so far as to say, completely proved in two masks. Not just laid out as an explanatory synthesis, but that was a logical proof that I offered in that presentation. So let's continue now that I adequately talked about the necessity of true present moment awareness and paying of the two spiritual currencies, time and attention. Let's move on. This presentation is about eugenics. That's what the neo-feminism agenda is ultimately doing and creating in society. It is a mechanism, and it's a propagation mechanism for eugenics waged by the social engineers, globalists, Satanists, however you want to look at them, the masters of our society. In order to understand how it's a eugenics op, we have to know what eugenics really is and what the word means from its roots, from its etymological roots as a word. One of the best ways of studying what a word really means in modern society is to go back to the origins of the word itself and look at its etymology, which means where did the word come from in its basic building blocks from ancient languages. The word eugenics in English is etymologically derived from the Greek adjective eugenes. So that's it written in ancient Greek characters there. Eugenes means well-born. The adjective eugenes is in turn etymologically derived from the roots, the Greek adjective eu, or upsilon, meaning good, and the Greek noun genos. Putting them together, you get eugenes, right? Genos is the Greek noun meaning race or stock. So it means literally good race, good stock, good genetics, good breeding, okay? And we're not talking about eugenics here, at least in the etymological definition, in the sense that the Nazis and those who they took actual eugenics practices from, which was largely Americans in the 1920s, we're not talking about it as trying to build up your own race as a master race and present it as such and then eliminate others, although that could be a form of eugenics. Eugenics as an actual word in its base root state simply means that your stock or your characteristics or your makeup is of goodness and strength. So I've told people, and they didn't really understand it when I said this, and I'll say it again, I believe in true eugenics. I am a eugenicist, believe it or not, okay? And many people will hear that and they'll be, that's horrible. No, certain forms of eugenics are horrible, but true eugenics simply means that you want human beings to be stronger. That's all it means. You want them to be of good characteristic stock. And that doesn't mean genetic stock. It can mean genetic stock, but it does not have to mean genetic stock. It means that their internal characteristics as a being are strong and good. So all eugenics means is good breeding, good propagation of strength and characteristics down to the next generations. As the very base meaning of the word, that is all it means. It is in and of itself. It is not evil. It can be turned into evil when we say, this race represents goodness and strength, that race represents badness and weakness, evil and weakness, just because we say so. We're not objectively looking at the characteristics. It's all filtered through our subjective interpretations of what we want. It's not objectively good. And we're going to look at those people over there as the enemy and us as the master race, and then we're going to go wipe them out. I'm not an advocate of that form of eugenics, obviously. That's evil. That's doing something that is immoral and harmful. So, at its very base, eugenics just means good propagation of characteristics. You have to understand that before you move on in your understanding of anything coming after that. Modern-day eugenics has become a social ideology advocating the promotion of higher rates of sexual reproduction for people with traits and characteristics desired by its proponents, and reduced rates of sexual reproduction and sterilization for those with undesired traits and characteristics. Now, this is where actual race-based eugenics comes into play. And we're talking about that in the sense of how eugenics was propagated in the early, 1900s in the United States, and then eventually spread to Europe and Germany in particular in the 1930s and 40s. So, this is what is meant by race-based eugenics, this part of this definition. And what it means is the people who are going to be in control of the breeding process between human beings are going to try to propagate whatever characteristics that they want to see bred into the next generation of human beings, largely through physical characteristics. So this could mean height, weight, hair color, eye color, skin color, okay? Genetic lineage of their descent and how quote-unquote pure they believe that to be. That's what we're talking about here in this sentence, okay? Let's move on. This practice of race-based eugenics could be described as a main religious tenet of the ruling class. Now, what I'm writing that, okay, that's not part of the definition of eugenics. I'm further now explaining what I mean by modern-day eugenics is part of Satanism. And what they're really doing is they're trying to breed a slave class. So if a ruling class that is already in a position of power and influence and has most of the resources of the world, based on what they already know about the human psyche and how to manipulate it, if they want to create characteristics that are conducive to keeping people enslaved, they are trying to breed characteristics into future generations of human beings that will weaken their characteristics as a being. It will weaken their goodness. It will weaken their strength. So if you really want to be word specific regarding this technique, it is not technically eugenics. I'm describing it as such to give you an overarching view of what people historically mean as eugenics and how in generally it is applied to social engineering. But if you really want to be definitionally specific here, we are now no longer talking about eugenics, we are talking about dysgenics. Dysgenics, the adjective, the suffix dys placed in front of genics, dys means bad, or weakened, or lesser. And then genics would be from the Greek noun genos, meaning stock or characteristics of a being. Okay? So dysgenics means bad breeding, bad passing down of characteristics to the next generation. Okay? You're debasing people. You're degrading them. You're making them lesser instead of greater. It's no longer eugenics, it's dysgenics. You're breeding them down. You're breeding them to a lower level, mentally, physically, spiritually. Okay? So, if you want to really be word specific according to a definition, this would be dysgenics. It's good for the master class. It's bad for the people that they're ruling over because they're weakening them and they're tightening their rule over them. So, they're going to call it eugenics still because it's a good outcome for them. The desired characteristics and traits are coming down into the next generation of people and often into the same generation of people as they weaken them mentally. So it is their form of eugenics because it's doing what's good for them and what's bad for everybody else so they can continue their system of slavery. This practice could be described as a main religious tenet of the ruling class who believe that it is simply the quote-unquote natural order, which it is not, is what they call their natural order, for the most ruthless of human beings whose genes are the quote-unquote fittest. No, they're not the fittest, they're the most ruthless and they're the most savage, to rule the rest of the human herd. That's what they're trying to do. They want to strengthen their own genetic characteristics and mental characteristics, and they want to weaken everybody else's. They want to make them sick. They want to make them lazy. They want to make them cowardly. They want to make them thinking all things that are untrue and running perpetual self-reinforcing and self-perpetuating mind viruses in their psyche all the time. The ruling class, the Satanists, see themselves as a, quote, elite class of human beings who attained the highest positions of power in our world because They believe that they are genetically superior to those who they rule, just like the Nazis did, calling themselves the Herrenvolk or the master race, and believing that all of the other races of Europe are inferior to them, like the Slavs, the Poles, the Gypsies, obviously Jews, Russians, etc. And they wanted to eventually either wipe those populations out or enslave them and put them to work for the Germanic Herrenvolk master race. Ultimately, this psychopathic ruling class believe that they have every right to decide who is allowed to live and procreate and who must die. And this is a tree graphic here on the right from the 1920s. Representing the concept of genetics. It says on it, of eugenics, eugenics is the self-direction of human evolution. No, it is people believing that they are God and that they can either choose to be the rulers of a society and put everybody else under their thumb, and then work to physically and mentally degrade others so that they can keep them as their slaves, which is nothing whatsoever to do with true evolutionary progress as beings. This is a false version of evolution, and it is not eugenics, it is dysgenics. And it says underneath, like a tree, eugenics draws its material from many sources and organizes them into a harmonious entity. And what that basically means is that the social engineers are directing the future course of future generations of people by directing how they think and behave, ultimately. And in cases like this, with physical eugenics, literally sterilizing or murdering people to prevent them from continuing to breed and create the characteristics in the human genetic pool that the ruling class does not want to see in it. And what they really don't want to see in it, they're not in the modern day concerned with race-based eugenics. They're conducting mind-based dysgenics. Let me say that again. In the modern day, the globalist engineers, this globalist social engineers and Satanists and dark occultists, they looked at race-based eugenics in World War II and realized we can't move the human herd toward that direction because, number one, it's too fast, and number two, it's too obvious. So they largely abandoned race-based genetics, and now they're trying to employ mind control-based dysgenics. What they really want to do is weaken the population mentally, physically, and spiritually by instilling into the population mind viruses that the population then continues to run like computers that have been infected with a computer virus. And then they pass the infection to other units, like a biological computer. So they're moving, they have moved, not are moving, but they have already moved their technique from this form of race-based eugenics that was popular in the former century, in the early 20s into the 1940s and beyond. They moved to the tactic and technique of Epi-Eugenics, which we're going to talk about soon. Okay? Epi-Eugenics means you're converting people's characteristics over time to what you want them to be, to make them into your perfect slaves, by directing how they think. And in directing how they think, then you are in turn directing their behavior that they're going to enact and put out into the world. And then you have the society with the characteristics that you originally want, that makes it easier for you to rule your human cattle, your human slaves. These people who are the eugenicists, they are the Satanists, the social engineers, the globalists. They are human farmers. And this is what they're doing. They're growing crops of human beings, just like the Matrix was growing huge crops of human beings to supply it with its energy and its mental power to continue the illusion. That's what they're doing with Epi-Eugenics. It's eugenics, which is truly dysgenics, conducted via mind control of a population, so that the population themselves creates the characteristics that the social engineers who implanted the virus eugenics programs into their mind like a computer virus wants to see created. The population's doing it to itself. All right, so we've described basic classical eugenics and described, in many cases, this should be called dysgenics because it's the weakening of the population and its characteristics instead of strengthening, which is what true eugenics is. I am for the strengthening of humanity. I am for people being stronger mentally, physically, and spiritually, and that's true eugenics. This is not really what eugenicists, quote unquote, are doing. They are dysgenicists, trying to create the worst characteristics and mind viruses in people, which makes them far easier to rule over as slaves. Okay, so again, we are not talking about Nazi-based master race eugenics. Again, that was done in the earlier days of the past century. Okay, in the 21st century, this has significantly been more sophisticated and it's been upgraded. Their tactics and techniques have been upgraded to be refined toward mind control. It is not the old form of eugenics that was being practiced by the Nazis long-term failed, as I said. They couldn't get the job done because it was too obvious to people what they were doing, and they did it way, way, way too fast. It was like a test. It was like a test of, the COVID psyop bullshit of telling people there's a massive virus that's going to have them dropping dead in the street when in fact they know that's not going to happen because they just want to do it as a test, a psyop test, to see how many people are going to comply to their mandates and demands. And they got their answer. They learned a whole lot about how compliant this society is. It's over 98% compliant. Okay? And if you don't think so, you're just dumb, son. You're a moron that you look out into society and don't think 98% of people and companies and individuals and governments cooperated. I'd say it might be over 98% that went in for it hook, line, and sinker, and they do it all over again because they're dumb, cowardly jackasses. They haven't learned a fucking thing from what happened. They don't even know it's a psyop. They don't even get what a psyop is. They don't know the occult tactic of psychological operations. They don't even have any clue the fucking sorcerers that they are up against. They think it's some fucking people just whipping up fucking viruses in a lab to see what'll happen. You don't understand. The Satanists commanded that. They're directing all of that. They're getting ready. They'll release a true fucking big, real fucking super biological weapon. Wait until if their power is ever really threatened, that's going to be the most dangerous time. We're nowhere near that time. They don't need to do that. Their power is really threatened. They will release the plague. Believe me. They'll take everybody off this fucking planet rather than give up power. That's why when we do, if we are going to take it away from them, we got to do it in mass, and we got to fucking all wake the fuck up all the way, or it's not going to succeed. And everybody got to laugh at these jackasses when they start commanding people to follow their orders. Instead of fucking putting your fucking dog tags around your neck. Let me wear my dog tags. Your dog tags show you that you're a fucking dog, you fucking loser. You ain't a man. You're loyal to your Satanist gods is what you're loyal to, you jackass. You ain't a fucking man. There's no one fucking cell of courage in your fucking cowardly fucking veins and body. Boy. You're a little fucking boy. That's what you are. Let me wear my dog tag so I can show my loyalty to people. You're a fucking moron. You're being mocked, jerk off. You're being mocked to your fucking face, just like the Nazis mocked their underlings. You're being mocked, told you're a fucking loyal dog. Wear your dog tags, dog. That's what you are. You're somebody's fucking pet on a leash. Scumbag. You're an immoral fucking scumbag, order follower. That's all you ever have been. And that's what the Nazis depended on, and that's how they conducted their eugenics operations, with willing followers who were willing to do any immoral behavior to the people that they were commanded to do it to for a fucking paycheck. And because they believed in some bullshit notions of loyalty and believed that these people who were really directing Nazi society were somehow good people when they were evil fucking Satanists. propagating the work of Satanists that came before them. Yeah. Fucking morons. And then people want to say, oh, the people of Germany weren't actually immoral people. They were from a good background and breeding and... You're a fucking moron. They were evil fucking people. Just like the people today aren't cut from any different fucking cloth. They're just as fucking evil. Order followers are evil. People who were sitting at fucking... concentration camps and fucking work camps to intaking people to work them to fucking death or gas them to death. They weren't good people. They were evil. And they were evil because they didn't think for themselves and they just followed fucking orders. Order followers are evil fucking people and always have been. Anybody that doesn't think following orders means that you're fucking evil, you're a fucking moron, dolt. You're a fucking dolt. And nothing's different today. We have a whole bunch of people that are just as fucking mind controlled in their fucking brain and in the way that they think, that's like, you know, they want to just kill fucking infants in the womb, you know, and still haven't understand it's an immoral act because you're doing something harmful, you're initiating something harmful to another being that does have sentience. And if you don't understand that, I just feel fucking sorry for you. I'm not saying I want control over a woman's body. I want people to make the decision willfully that they're not going to fucking murder the unborn. It's a being. It has feelings. It has emotions. You know, this is one of the reasons. First of all, this is satanic human sacrifice. Let's make no mistake about it. If you haven't gotten the message by now that abortion is satanic ritual sacrifice, you don't understand what's going on this fucking planet, moron. This is the Satanists conditioning people that you can murder unborn children and it's perfectly okay. And they want to make the whole debate over, oh, can governments command women to do this with their body? You're not doing it with your body. You're doing it with another body. It's another body. You know? And they want to make it about, oh, should government pass this law? Government should pass no law. Human beings should be conscious and fucking moral enough that they know this is a wrong behavior and it shouldn't be done. Because that fucking true understanding of justice and right should be written on their fucking heart, not in some book or in some government fucking law book. Fuck government entirely. They shouldn't legislate anything. There should be no human laws. I'm talking about the laws of the creator of the universe that govern morality and the human condition. And this is what Neo-Feminism has become. It has become a factory of human sacrifice, advocating for endless murder of the unborn. We want to know why we're in fucking the situation we're at? No greater indicator of where we're at in the human condition of slavery than the amount of abortion that has been done. No greater indicator. And if you don't understand that, I feel fucking sorry for you as a sorry-ass human being. They're out in the open with it. They're conducting human sacrifice out in the open. Now, really funny fucking thing that I laughed at hysterically is when they blew up this fucking shit monument. You know, eugenicists, Satanists, social engineers, and what I would call dark Rosicrucians placed this monument in Georgia called the Georgia Guidestones. Many people still don't know about them. Talked about them pretty endlessly and explained they're a eugenics monument. They're a monument to eugenics placed there by someone who gave himself the pseudonym R.C. Christian, which means Rose Cross Christian, or Christian Rosenkreutz, the Christian of the Rose Cross, which is the allegorical founder of the Rosicrucian order, the Order of the Rosy Cross, which is an esoteric occult mystery tradition society, which teaches valuable lessons about spirituality and morality and should not be dismissed just because it is an occult mystery tradition. Again, as I've said endlessly, and morons still don't understand it and will not accept it, there are always two sides to the occult, the light and the dark. Look at it like the Jedi and the Sith in Star Wars. There are people who know the knowledge and are using it for the right reasons. There are people who know the knowledge and are using it to manipulate and control and destroy. So Rosicrucianism is not one thing. There is light Rosicrucianism. There is dark Rosicrucianism. Freemasonry is not one thing. There is true Freemasonry or light Freemasonry, and there is dark Freemasonry or dark Masonry. This is an example of dark Masonry. This is an example of dark Rosicrucianism put there by someone calling himself R.C. Christian. Many people believe that it was Ted Turner, who is a known and noted eugenicist who wants the world's population reduced by 95%. I don't know whether it was actually him, but that is the best current popular guess and rumor, and it may very well have been he who commissioned it. I would certainly believe he is a eugenicist and social engineer, and may very well be the person who commissioned the Georgia Guidestones. These were blown up last year. They were dynamited by someone and then had to be taken down because of instability. They had to be completely demolished because of the parts that were damaged by the dynamite. And I think it's hilarious. I think that's the kind of thing I would love to just see everywhere because, and I'm not talking about just blowing bombs and people up, but things like this with things just destroyed. I'm not telling anybody to go out and do it, but if it happens, I'm just laughing about it because I pissed my pants when the Georgia Guidestones got blown up because fuck these people. That's why. Fuck you, eugenicists. Fuck you, you Satanists. Fuck you. Fuck you is the answer. That's what people need to say to these fucking losers. You fucking satanic, eternal losers is what you are. And they put up this monument saying, let's reduce the world population to 500 million, 500 million people, right? So then this way, you're taking 95% of the current total amount of human beings out of the world. And that's going to let it be in perpetual harmony with nature. No, it's going to be in perpetual harmony with your form of fucking loser-ass slavery. You know? That's all it's for. That's what their population reduction is for, is easier slave management. I word it like this. Why do they want to lower population? Let's say you're a sheep breeder, and all you do is you shear sheep, and then you kill them and you sell them for mutton. That's your whole business. That's your business model as a sheep farmer, right? Would you want, let's say your ideal amount of sheep on your farm would be 5,000, okay? You can manage 5,000 sheep. You can herd 5,000 sheep. You can shear 5,000 sheep. You can slaughter 5,000 sheep. Once it gets a little beyond that, now you're backed up. Now the farm is dirtier. Now there's more shit laying around. Now there's the water tables getting messed up. You don't have enough hands on the farm to deal with the population of animals. Now you have animals dying. Now it's creating disease. Now other animals are getting sick. Now your profits go down. Now eventually the farm would be threatened if the population goes up to 20,000. You certainly can't handle that. Now there's going to be more backup, more disease, more pollution, more inability to handle the population. What would you do if you're the kind of person in the mindset that I farm sheep? You're going to kill off a certain amount of the population as an acceptable culling so it doesn't completely devastate your business model. I don't advocate for any farming. I think the farming of animals is a completely deplorable practice. I say leave the fucking animals alone and let's go human hunting where we need to do it. You know? Plenty of people need their fucking head hunted with a sniper rifle. Leave the fucking animals out of it. The animals didn't do anything to harm me or anybody else. Let's leave the fucking animals alone and go fucking hunting the fucking heads of human beings that need to be fucking hunted and blown the fuck off their shoulders. You know? It's about 150 fucking years too late. Where we should have been fucking calling the fucking globalists of the fucking world instead of letting them call us. And we're calling ourselves, as I'm going to explain. They're not even calling us. We're doing it to ourselves because of how degraded and debased our consciousness has become. So, I'm explaining the model of how these people have their worldview and how they see their reality as human farmers. The reason they want to reduce population is because they look at it like the modern overpopulation as they see it. I don't think overpopulation even exists, and the population of this planet is not a problem. It's only a problem in the sense that we continue to do things the way we do them. We continue to believe what we believe. We continue to be an immoral species, and we continue to destroy the environment instead of actually act as its stewards. That's why human beings are a threat to planet Earth, because of what we've become and how we continue to think, instead of getting our heads fucking screwed on straight and thinking the fucking right way. And the moral way. And the way that is in true balance with nature. Not like these fucking sick global socialist engineers think. They're Satanists that just want to fucking murder the human herd and cull it down to a more manageable fucking number. So that's their form of eugenics. And there it is right there, written in English and other languages. On the other sides of the stone, it was written, maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Bullshit. That's not how nature works. This planet has a carrying capacity that's minimum 10 times what it is now. If we truly did things the right way, behaved the right way, lived the right way, executed technologies in the morally right way, instead of all of the immoral fucking bullshit and degrading things to the ecology that we currently do because of money and continue to do because of money. Money is the religion that drives all of this. And these people want control of all of the resources because of this unnatural thing that we invented called money. And they want to have the power that comes along with the mental virus that is the belief in money as something that is part of nature, which it is not. And these people are a species, an intraspecies predator and parasite. That's who the eugenicists and global engineers, globalists, social engineers, Satanists, mind controllers, any term you want to look at it, they are interspecies predators. They are literally culling the human herd like predators roaming like wild lions and hyenas amongst the sheep, culling the human population, and now using more sophisticated mental virus tactics that they instill like a computer virus into people's minds to get the people to actually do the culling for them. It's a self-perpetuating process of human culling conducted by the people who are being culled. They're not even doing it. Are they lining people up and shooting them in the back of the head and dumping their bodies into a pit? No. Are they themselves going out with needles and injecting people with poison? No. They're having other people do that for them for a paycheck. This is what people have to do, is stop letting people off the hook for the immoral jobs that they do because they say, I need a paycheck because I got to provide for my family. So did the cocksucking Nazi jerk-off who was fucking taking people on a train to a fucking work camp to work them to death. He had a family to feed too. Would you say to him, oh, go ahead and ride and take that train of people every day to the fucking camp because you have a family to feed? You'd say that to him, wouldn't you? Yeah, because anybody who would do that is an apologist for evil. They won't say to somebody, you should quit your job no matter what it means for you and your family. You and your family should suffer for a time if you have to. You should forcefully and willfully make the choice to struggle and even suffer if it means doing the right thing. Don't participate in wrong and immoral livelihood. Quit your job even if it means hardship for you and your family. You gotta buck the fuck up and take it. You got involved. You fucked up. You thought incorrectly. You did immoral actions. And now for a time you may need to repent for it by having struggle in your life. Oh fucking well, little boy. Oh fucking well, little girl. Suffer for a time, loser. Nobody will say that to people. I'm one of the only people in this world that will say that to other motherfuckers. Because other people are fucking cowards and won't open their fucking mouth and say that. If I'm looking at a Nazi square in the fucking eyes, I'm telling him to quit his fucking job. Stop following your satanic fucking masters. Quit your job no matter what it means for your fucking family. Who gives a fuck about your family? You're harming the whole fucking human race, moron! People want to worry about an individual family when the whole fucking race is being destroyed. The whole fucking species is being destroyed, moron! And you're worried about other people's family. How the modern social engineers conduct cullings and conduct eugenics is through Epi-Eugenics. But in order to understand what Epi-Eugenics is, we have to understand epigenetics. And epigenetics is a modern, burgeoning field of science that is relatively new, but not very new. It's probably been around for 75 years or more. The reason that most people have never heard of the science, the relatively recent science called epigenetics, is because it is a forbidden word. And there is such a thing. There are words in the human lexicon that are forbidden by the social engineer class. They may not be written or spoken by anyone who works for them in any of their institutions. And the media has been forbidden ever to speak or write the word epigenetics. I don't think this. I absolutely, definitively know this and was told this by the Satanists that I worked with, was we have forbidden topics and words that may never be spoken. And the people we have on our leash, if they ever speak those words, it's not just the end of their immediate job. They're blacklisted forever for the rest of their life until they die from ever re-entering the field that they're in, whether it be media or law or medicine or education. If they're a member of their cult and they've taken vows of allegiance to these satanic networks and cults that really run things, they told me when I was involved with them, if they ever go against our orders, our wishes, our commands, our dictates, and they speak topics, words, or terms that we have forbidden them from ever uttering, that's the end of their entire career in the entire field of endeavor that they've chosen to involve themselves in. And if they try to do an end run around that, then they get taken out physically. They want to try to avoid having to murder people out in the open to the extent that they can, because that draws attention to them and their mind control operations, which they don't want people perceiving or understanding how they work. But they will resort to physical murder through hired assassins if people give them enough trouble, that have actually been involved with them and said, yes, we are loyal to you because of the power you're giving us and the money you're giving us, and we are going to take an oath of allegiance to them. For people that do not take oaths of allegiance to them and accept their gifts, they do not do anything to them. They have a code that they work according to, and this is very hard for people who have no involvement with the occult world to understand, because you haven't been there, you haven't interoperated, you haven't interacted with them, you have no frame of reference to understand it. This is why it's so difficult for me to explain what the dark occult world really is. And again, I only saw it from a low level. So I can't even speak about what really goes on at the highest levels, but I've heard enough and I've seen enough that I can extrapolate that. And I have a very high, not only intuitive ability, but a very high level to see real patterns in the world and be able to interpolate what things really mean or where they go when they're based on a dynamic here and they're growing and expanding. I have a very, very advanced capacity in my mind and my ability as far as being able to see patterns and ratios in the world to extrapolate where things go or will go. This is why they wanted me in their eugenics operations. They wanted me in the very culling ops that they knew that they were going to conduct. That's why the repeatedly, the organization that I heard more often than any other of what they thought I would be well suited to go and take some form of a role in was the Club of Rome. And I'm sure if I stayed with the Satanists, I would probably be a high-ranking member of the Club of Rome right now as we speak. Because they knew I had a mind for this. They knew I saw whole systems. They knew I could see whole patterns. They knew that my IQ was in the 150s. And they knew if they brought me on board with the eugenics op, boy, would I do a number on this population. And let me tell you, I would have. I would have. And I would have been great at it. Great. Not just good. Phenomenally great at it. And I will say, I'm very thankful that my life did not go in that direction, because the karma that brings, nobody really wants, if you understand where that's going to really lead you in the long term. So while some days I feel like, boy, I wish I would have just done it and just fucking killed these fucking dumb monkeys, in my real aspect of my being and my true soul and spirit, I know that the right thing ended up happening. That's hard to see and go with some days recently because of the direction things are going. But do I really know that's the way it should have worked out? Yes, I do. So, how do modern day eugenicists conduct their operations? They don't do it through classical eugenics anymore. They don't have to. Do you think they need to round people up on trains and take them to concentration camps to kill people today? They don't need to do that. All they need to do is start a new war and throw more bodies on the altar of human sacrifice of war. All they need to do is invent a new fake bullshit disease and pump people with a fucking injection, and more bodies are thrown onto the sacrifice altar. People don't understand. It's all satanic human sacrifice. That's all it is. That's all that's happening. The culling is happening through the shots. The culling is happening through war. The cull is happening through disease. The cull is happening through fucking poison in food, water, and air. It's not going to happen. It's ongoing. We're living through an active human culling for those who have survived it thus far. An active satanic human culling is taking place as we speak. It's not coming in the future. It is and has been ongoing. They don't do it through direct methods anymore. They don't have to. They do it through epigenetics, through altering how people's perception works. And then that propagates down to physical characteristics and eventually down to how their genetics operate. So one of the things that you have to understand that the science of epigenetics has definitively determined through the scientific method and real truth discovery processes is that genes do not actually control us. And this is a big lie that all of the people who bought into Darwinian macrobiological evolutionary theory as put forward by Charles Darwin and then propagated by the Dalton family, all believed in the 1900s and all the way into the early 21st century, is that we're completely controlled by our genes. Humanity, human beings, are not controlled by their genes. If you still believe this, you subscribe to a well over 150-year-old pseudoscience called Darwinism. It is not an accurate science borne out by the true scientific methodology and admitted by Darwin himself that it was only a theory that would have to be borne out by the fossil record and future human experiments that would be conducted to either prove or disprove it. These have actually now been done. And genetics is not as deterministic as anyone in the entire field of science ever once thought. They are tendencies and switches that can be thrown or not thrown. They can be in on states, they can be in off states. And that is largely going to be determined by thought and environment. Thought and influence around us, which is why being an influencer is so important. You're influencing the cells of the human body to become stronger and better. Well, in their form of epigenetics, the social engineers, they're influencing the cells of the human body to become weaker and to become more susceptible to more mind control tactics and more physical degradation, and to have the characteristics that the globalist engineers do not want to see drawn out of the population, and to have the characteristics that the social engineers do want to see injected into the characteristics of the current population. It's very sophisticated, and understanding it is something that's going to hinge upon people looking into this somewhat relatively new science, which again, I'm saying it's probably existed for about 75 years now. The problem is there is what is known as a knowledge gap, a knowledge differential. It's a knowledge time gap between when scientific discoveries actually occur and the world of science eventually catches up to understand what is actually happening in a particular field like epigenetics, and to do the experiments to confirm its validity. And the time that the population, if ever, learns about these new sciences started at approximately a decade, many decades ago. And as science became more sophisticated and looked deeper into the nature of what's going on, mostly matter in our world, epigenetics is one of the fields that is now taking consciousness into consideration in addition to what happens with matter. Because previously it was a distorted scientific worldview that only looked at matter. Now with new biology and epigenetics, we are seeing whole branches of science beginning to take the human mind and consciousness into consideration when it comes to its findings. But unfortunately, what has also happened with that advancement in science, which is a good one, what has happened is the time gap from when the leading cutting-edge scientists discover something to the point where the public is not only just informed about it, but it then influences and colors their worldview, and they start seeing things differently based on the actual true scientific findings within the scientific community, has significantly widened. And it's gone from a decade, then to 20 years, 2 decades, then to 50 years, 5 decades, and then to 75 years. And now the estimate is it is 100 years, the time gap between when cutting-edge scientific discoveries are made until at least a majority of the human population truly understands that advancement and reformulates its worldview. Longer than the average human lifetime. That's not only important, that's unbelievably significant, is that knowledge time gap stands at 100 years today in the most advanced cutting-edge sciences, including epigenetics. So epigenetics is 75 years old. People may not even hear the word and even begin to understand what it is for another quarter of a century, if that. Because now it's actively discouraged and forbidden to be spoken by the mainstream forms of media, forbidden to be put in print except in actual scientific literature that is often peer-reviewed literature. There you will find studies done on the science of epigenetics and different experimentations that prove it. And unfortunately, these findings will be suppressed into the distant future because the scientific community does not put their own findings out to the general population like media. The scientific community puts their findings out to themselves, to other scientists. That's what peer-reviewed journals are, okay? And they ask other scientists to do the same experimentation to validate their method and their findings and conclusions. That's the scientific process. You, have a hypothesis, you do observation, you do testing, you publish your results, and then you ask for the rest of the scientific community to confirm your results. That's the scientific methodology. And unfortunately, scientists themselves who do know that epigenetics is a real science and what it really means for humanity, they don't do a lot of publishing work to the public themselves. They leave that for interpreters. They leave that for middlemen, which is the media. That's what the media means, in the middle. Literally, it means that. The word media in Latin means the middle. So the media has traditionally been the middle people between the publishing of the realms of new science and the population. And not only traditionally, when there were some legitimate journalists, it was already a 50 to 75 year gap. Now, with censorship and the complete banning and the complete turning terms into forbidden ideas, that time differential in that knowledge gap has extended at least another quarter of a century to 100 years, and maybe longer in some cases. So I don't expect the population to wake up to epigenetics. I'm going to explain it anyway, but most people are just going to stay completely ignorant when it comes to this because they'll never hear it on a mainstream media source. Let's look at what epigenetics actually is, because this is going to be critical to understand how the entire agenda of Neo-Feminism works. It works through epigenetics, which is why I call it the Satanic Epi-Eugenics agenda, because it's epigenetics extended into the realm of eugenics. And again, if I redid this presentation today, I wouldn't call it Epi-Eugenics. I would now call it Epi-Dysgenics. Epi-Dysgenics is what the satanic globalist social engineers are actually propagating. They are waging a campaign of Epi-Dysgenics. And we'll understand what that means after looking at epigenetics. The word epigenetics is derived from the Greek prefix epi, meaning beyond, further than, to go past something. And the Latin verb genere, which is where Genesis comes from, meaning to make or to create. If you learn word etymology, you'll see where all of the terms that we speak colloquially on a daily basis come from. So just look at the Latin verb genere, to create. It's where Genesis comes from, to generate something, to make it, to create it. And then epi means to go beyond. So it means to go beyond creation, to go beyond the classical methods of what it means to make or to create something. And what does epi apply to? The prefix epi means you're going beyond the genes. You're going beyond the things that have classically been understood as something that is making a condition or making a characteristic or making a trait. And what does it refer to? It refers to the mind. Epigenetics means you're going beyond the genes and to the things that influence and turn genes on or off. Consciousness. And this is borne out in this science. Genes are a biological tendency like a tide. So, if there's a high tide, there's a tendency for more water to come toward the beach, and it would be more difficult to row a rowboat and get it out past the breaking waves at high tide. So, consciousness could be applied to the equation, and if you want to get the boat out to the ocean, you can wait until you know the pattern is going to change to low tide, and there's going to be calmer waves, and you're going to be easily able to row the boat out past the breakers. This is to go beyond the physical and to use the mind to recognize patterns and then do the thing that you want to do, create the thing that you want to create by going beyond the classical physical aspects of something. Epigenetics is an emerging branch of science that takes human consciousness into consideration regarding the biological, psychological, and physiological expressions of human life and society. It is not leaving consciousness at the door as old physical only, matter, looking into matter only branches of science used to do, and then pin everything on genetics. We have learned it is not just about genetics. Do they play a role? Yes, genes do play a role. They are that biological tendency to express. But that doesn't mean they're forced expression. It doesn't mean you're locked into a code like a computer program when you compile and run it. It's not that hard-coded. It's soft-coded. It's more like machine learning, right? AI that can learn and adapt its software rather than a hard-coded program that is locked into code. And if you want to debug it, you got to go back into the code, you got to fix the bug, then you got to recompile and rerun the program. So epigenetics is not like hard coding, it's like ML or machine learning. The biological computer and its software can actually learn and adapt on the fly. That's how you have to see epigenetics, okay? And the determining mechanism, the mechanistic aspect that is going to do that learning of the biological computer is the consciousness. The consciousness is going to learn and adapt, and it's going to take not only its thoughts into consideration, it's going to take environmental aspects into consideration or environmental influence. So when we look at the field of epigenetics, we see that influence of the surrounding area of the cell or the individual is going to contribute to the biological tendencies that actually activate or deactivate in the genes of the individual, which are the expressions of its consciousness and physicality. People have an incredibly hard time with this concept because they've been so brainwashed into believing the theories regarding human genes and genetics and how they are hard-coded and deterministic components to what's going to happen with our physical bodies and our characteristics of our being. We are learning they are far more plastic, meaning bendable, shapeable, moldable. They're not hard, solid forms. Just like matter really isn't hard, solid forms. It's energy and vibration and motion. The same is true for genetic expression. It's going to be largely determined by thought processes and environmental influences far more than it is genes. Genes are now known to make up actually less than 20% of that equation. And the consciousness and the environment, the environmental factors that influence the gene expression is 80 or more percent. Okay? And that's probably a conservative number. And we're probably going to learn it's actually even more than that in the future. So epigenetics is the aspects of our makeup and our characteristics that go beyond our genes. Our genes do not control us. Quite the other way around. Us, our consciousness, our environment, our influences that we surround ourselves with are largely going to determine our genetic expression, the expression of our genes. It's exactly upside down and reversed, and that's why they want us to believe genes are the ultimate hard-coded expression of ourselves, because they want us separated from spirituality and consciousness and completely focused only on the materialistic. A great book that people should take a look at is Nessa Carey's The Epigenetics Revolution, How Modern Biology is Rewriting Our Understanding of Genetics, Disease, and Inheritance. The science of epigenetics clearly demonstrates that human beings possess the ability to create adaptive changes to their gene expressions via changes in consciousness. We will see a change in our unique individual expression of consciousness, and when it extends to our surrounding environment, we'll see changes in the expression of our society. Everything is an expression of mind. This is the first principle of natural law in Hermetics, is the all is mind. everything is an expression of how we think. If we clear up how we're thinking, everything else follows that. Free your mind and your ass will follow. You know? That's what it is all ultimately about. We have to change how we are thinking, and then we will change our expressions in the real physical world. So, genes have been proven to be only a tendency for biological expression. Since consciousness precedes the genetic expression, again, everything extends from the mind outward, then if consciousness is changed, gene expression can also be fundamentally altered, fundamentally changed. We are the actual writers and authors of that code. We can shape it into all the different expressions. The Creator gave us the components of the code. It gave us the word. You see, that's the whole idea of the word. The actual genetics are of the Creator, okay? But how it expresses in our experience in human life is almost entirely up to us. Now, I say almost because people are going to be influenced by their environment. Would I have less anger problems? And again, I don't think I should control it entirely. I don't think it should be shut off. That's like holding a fire hose that needs to express. It's going to blow up in your face when you do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say what I know to be true, even if it's vicious, vitriolic, nasty, and angry. Want to know why? Because the very first characteristic that needs to express is what's true. And that's what people aren't hearing. They're hearing the anger in my voice, but they're not hearing the truth in it because they've been mentally conditioned like a fucking virus that's running in their mind to dismiss truth if anger is present with it. And that's not my problem. That's your fucking problem, moron. That's not my problem. That's your mind control. I'm not under mind control. You're under mind control if you think that way, if you think the truthfulness or veracity of information is somehow altered or changed because of anger being present or not present. The fucking media, you want people to lie to you with a smile on your face? Go watch the mainstream media, you dumb fucking ignoramus. Let them lie to you with a smile on your face with some dullard fucking chick who, you know, looks hot and all, and you want to pay attention to what she's saying just because she has some attractive look and she's spewing fucking satanic verminous filth from her mouth and putting a nice smile on her face while she's doing it, and you're eating it up like a fucking moron with a fucking fire hose down your gullet and you can't get enough into your lazy fucking dumb moron ass. Okay? So that's never going to be me. I'm going to give you the straight, hard fucking shit with no sugarcoating, and it's still going to be fucking true. Regardless of what you think about it or me. Like I said, you don't like how I deliver it? Go fuck yourself and turn it the fuck off and remain a moron. It's your fucking funeral, but unfortunately it's also other people's funeral. I'm going to say it how I want to the fucking morons in the back who aren't fucking listening and haven't been listening. Because they need to get their head out from up their ass and change their fucking mind. So, we ultimately can largely determine how that expression works. Are we completely insulated from influence by others? No. That's why I'm so angry. Because I'm surrounded by fucking morons everywhere. That's the environmental influence that a person should not be completely immune to. If you think that, again, you believe somebody should really be a fucking computer, should train themselves to be a computer. People aren't fucking computers. They get angry. They have a full range of emotions. Anger's there for a fucking reason, moron. You shouldn't try to fucking purge it. You should express it. You should use it for the right reason and to do the right thing with it. Ass. Okay? So, let's move on. Okay, so one of the things that I'll guarantee you somebody got not only fired for, but they might have had a lot worse done to them, is Epigenetics did appear on Time magazine once. And it said, why your DNA isn't your destiny. The new science of epigenetics reveals how the choices you make can change your genes and those of your kids. So what I've written here on this slide is epigenetics has shown that human beings are not controlled by genes like computer programs are controlled by code. This is a fallacy propagated by Darwinian scientism for almost 2 centuries. When we work to change our consciousness and beliefs, our biological and psychological code can actually be rewritten and a different expression can be manifested. In other words, we are not our genetic code. We are the writers of our genetic code. We are the writers of the combinations. We didn't create the actual genetics, right? Nature or God, the creator, creates those building blocks. We can put, so the grammar is God's. The word is with God. The ordering or expression of that word that manifests in us is up to us and our free will in how we think, in what we will believe, in how we will influence our environment for the better or the worse. That's part of the free will, or what you could call the unknown aspect of consciousness. It is not written in stone. It is not, trying to think of the word. It's not determined. It's not the deterministic aspect of consciousness. It's the free will component of consciousness. Okay? So free will versus determinism. Some people will look at it as chaos, the chaotic dynamic of consciousness, which could go in any direction through choice. But choice is largely going to be determined by the information that we have at our disposal. That's why they occult information. That's why they hide it. They don't want you to learn their knowledge. They don't want you to learn what they know about how the mind works and how it can be manipulated into different states. If you learn that, you learn their tactics as social engineers, and you become immune to those tactics if you really know how they work. So genes have been seen as a deterministic component of the biological makeup of a human being. Epigenetics has proven beyond the shadow of a doubt that genes are not deterministic components like hardwired computer code. We can affect the expression of the gene by taking the grammar and rearranging it with our consciousness and what information we have taken in and how the overall environment that we are part of has not only influenced us, but how we influence it. If fully grasped by humanity, this fundamental understanding that epigenetics represents could help us to radically transform our world for the better. Unfortunately, the overwhelming majority of human beings does not understand epigenetics in any way whatsoever. They haven't even heard of it, let alone understood it fully. So check out that, let me step back for a minute, that Nessa Carey book. Check out Bruce Lipton's work. Check out the work of Joe Dispenza. Check out the work of, I'm trying to think of his name. He's in it later in the presentation. I'll give you some sources. Oh, here they are. So Bruce Lipton, Joe Dispenza, Greg Braden, and again, Nessa Carey. They're the people who I would recommend who have a pretty deep understanding of the field of epigenetics. Again, you could say they may get a little bit new agey in certain areas, and I would certainly make the statement that I do not feel that they have a deep grasp of occultism, especially dark occultism. They tend to want to ignore that because they want people to listen to them, buy their books, listen to their work, not be scared. They're very much on the overly positive tip. Now, that doesn't negate their work. I think their work is still great. And I'm not going to say that they're completely ignorant of what's going on, but I just wish that all of the people who never discuss the world of the occult would just shed their fear of talking about it in the open. Because I've got to imagine these guys are fucking intelligent enough to understand it. They can't not be, right? To ignore it because you think it's going to make people afraid or they're not going to get into your work anymore. You're not doing people a service. You're doing them a disservice. So I will have to comment on that aspect of their work. That doesn't mean I'm berating them, putting them down, disrespecting them. I think their work is highly valuable, or I wouldn't tell you to look into it. But that other aspect is you got to go further. You can't stop and set up the encampment 25% of the way up the mountaintop if your goal is to get to the apex of the mountain. You got to go boldly forward, regardless of what anybody else thinks. You can't let what anybody else thinks of you color your pursuit of the truth and then subsequent dissemination of the truth. And many other people in our so-called truth-seeking and freedom-oriented communities do this as well. They want to leave the occult on the back burner, and they don't understand it's one of the most important topics to explore and talk about and cover and really be accurate about, because it's the force that's running this planet. And if you don't understand that, like I said, I feel bad for you. I feel sorry that you're that ignorant at this point and place in our world. You got to be working overtime. You got to be working hardcore to be that ignorant and naive. That's a full-time job at this point with how blatant it has become. So while I will give them that criticism, their work on epigenetics is phenomenal and should be fully understood and integrated into people's consciousness. So please check out these gentlemen's work. So, if we combine the concept of epigenetics with eugenics, even if we look at it from the classical form of eugenics, what do we come up with? What have we formulated? If the social engineers of our world, if the occult ruling class realized we want to conduct eugenics, but we don't want to do it in a classical physical capacity of murdering people out in the open so they can see we're doing it, like they did with the Nazis or the communists, of directly poisoning people so that it could be easily discovered. They want to even do poisoning covertly through what is laughingly called medicine and food. And we want to cull people, but we don't want to be seen as the people who are doing it. We would rather implant a mind virus in the human herd and get them to cull themselves. What if you can implant in the 90% of the sheep that are out there if you could, going back to that analogy of a human farmer that doesn't want 20,000 sheep on their farm because it's going to destroy the farm, only wants 5. That's their manageable number. What if they inject 15,000 sheep with a virus into their body or some type of drug? Doesn't have to be a biomechanism, it could be a drug that distorts the mind of the sheep so much that what they do is go after all other infected sheep. They leave the 5,000 uninfected sheep alone, and they all kill each other. The 15,000 sheep go through the population of the 20,000. They kill all of each other, all 15,000, and now the 5,000 sheep that the human farmer once left on his farm remain and is easily manageable, and he can keep the farm going. That's what Epi-Eugenics is. Epi-Eugenics is self-directed human culling, directed by the very people who are to be culled. And that is what Neo-Feminism is a part of. It's not the totality of Epi-Eugenics. It is a part of the Epi-Eugenics agenda of the human farmers, the human social engineers. So, what if an occult ruling class long ago discovered how to influence the breeding process within entire populations for the very purpose of making those populations easier for them to control? As I've just said, it's just look at it like the sheep farmer analogy. They learned how to engineer the consciousness of people so that they would do the worst possible things and believe the worst possible beliefs so that they would actually over time cull out the not only the numbers of people but the characteristics of people that is undesirable to the human farmer of our planet, the human farmers of our planet. So they're doing the eugenicist work for them. So Epi-Eugenics is controlling human breeding by manipulating human consciousness. That's the essence of what Epi-Eugenics is. Epi means to go beyond the physical into the mental realm. So you're controlling the mind and its perception so that you can ultimately control the characteristics that come out of the human herd. And once you control those characteristics, you can debase them as much as possible. You can make them weak. You can make them degenerate. And you could easily control people. The Satanists want weak, ignorant, lazy people that are easy to control, easy to enslave, and easy to cull, because they'll listen to anything they tell them and believe it as true. They don't want true eugenics. They don't want strong characteristics in the population. They don't want high levels of intelligence in the population. They don't want true physical strength in the population. The people like that are well informed, that are courageous, that are physically strong, that are in good health, mentally, physically, spiritually, those people would be enormously difficult to control. You can't control people like that. They know what's good for them. They know what's right for them. They know what the true difference between right and wrong behavior. They're moral. They're strong morally. They're strong in their consciousness. They're strong in their physicality. People like that are going to be a nightmare to control and enslave. That's why we're really dealing with Epigenetics. We're dealing with them weakening the population, giving them mental belief systems that are completely untrue and completely socially engineered, specifically tailored to weaken them as much as possible so that they're easier to enslave. I call this population control through mind control. And once again, if you don't understand that that's what's happening, you're dumb as a bag of fucking bent, rusty nails. Okay? And that's pretty fucking dumb to keep laying around. And that's how dumb you are if you don't understand that this is what's actively taking place in our world. The social engineers, the Satanists of our world that are the real controllers of this planet are engaging in the control of the human population through the manipulation of the human mind. And the people out there in the audience, you are still under this mind control. The vast majority of you. Largely you're under the mind control because you haven't really been present and really listened to what I've said over the years. Maybe you're just too fucking dumb. I don't know. Maybe you're just too fucking lazy. Maybe you're just too apathetic, or a combination of all three. If you actually listen to what I've said over all these years and digested the grammar that I have freely and selfishly given to you over the years, you would understand, dullards. You would understand by now. But clearly you're lazy fucking dullards, because I can tell the population still doesn't fucking understand, and if you guys understood well enough, you'd be trying to influence the rest of the fucking population to understand. Nobody talks about this shit. They talk about, oh, what's Bitcoin doing? Oh, is this politician going to get in from the Libertarian Party? Well, what happened in Russia last weekend is what's Putin calling for, and what kind of aids the United States sending into whatever country they're fucking funding these days. Who gives a fuck? Political analysis is fucking. You might as well just drink a fucking bottle of fucking lie. You might as well drink a bottle of fucking liquid Drano. Go ahead and drink the bottle of liquid Drano, because it's about as good as it's going to do with political analysis. You're not getting to the underlying fundamental root causes. You're not getting down to the level of causality. You're gargling with fucking sewage endlessly, as Jay Parker calls it, endlessly talking about the fucking realm of effects. All of the symptoms. You think you're going to solve this by the analysis of the symptoms? Good luck. You got to get to the underlying root causes. and then you'll be making progress. So, how do I define Epi-Eugenics? Epi-Eugenics is the propagation of eugenics by way of social engineering or mind control and quote-unquote selective breeding, which we'll talk about, by the very population which the eugenics strategy is targeted to destroy. One could call it mind-controlled downbreeding. Again, epigenetics, or in other words, getting the herd to cull itself. That is exactly what Epi-Eugenics is. Propagation of classical eugenics, breeding characteristics into a population that the social engineer class wants to see in it, which is actually weakening it, and selective breeding by the very population which the strategy is targeted to destroy. It is mind-controlled downbreeding, or in other words, making the human herd actually cull itself through its own belief systems and mind viruses. I think that's all the time we're going to have on this edition of What on Earth is Happening. I hope you learned a lot. I hope you will really make time to truly learn how to think and how to be fully present, and we'll continue the analysis of Neo-Feminism and the Satanic Epi-Eugenics agenda right here with part 3 next week. Same time and place on What on Earth is Happening. Thank you for watching, everyone. We'll see you next week.